find your own control. Politicians and celebrities make deals behind closed doors, promises broken, and their income soars. Hidden agendas run the grand parade. In the circus, choose a masquerade. Believe me, I wouldn't lie. I've been given money, power, and fame to keep you in line.
Welcome, everyone. Today, we are here to talk about the dumbing down of America and how colleges and educational institutions indebted generations with these worthless degrees, and they told us to go get your college degree and that you'd for sure get a job and be able to have a house and kids and family and all that crap. And then the reality is it's not working out like that. So we have Damon back from his long vacation and from my kind of weekend aways. I haven't been here on the weekends for a while. So how you doing, Damon?
Good. Happy New Year. Happy New Year to all of the 2 people in the chat.
Thank you, guys.
Great start to the New Year, Kat.
Yes. So I hope everybody has had a wonderful week. And today we're going to be talking about how the school sucks. Yeah, we got 3 people up in here.
You're popular in the chat.
I know. Look, it's happening. It's happening, guys. We are also finally monetized. I accept donations. I accept Bitcoin. I don't know what that is, but I hear people accept it. I don't know how to accept it. You know what I mean?
Mini Cat.
Oh my God.
Oh my God. This is amazing.
Oh yeah, I have to show you guys our merch. This is Mini Cat's one that she, what's it called? Designed or whatever. It's like her shirt. And of course she had to make it say Mini Cat on it because that's just how it is. And you know,
she's not as overweight as you.
Shut up. And we
Sorry.
have our little Simperius. I just thought it was funny. Okay. I know.
Wait. Let's see.
Okay. It's right here. There he is. Our favorite troll. Anyways, so check out the merch. Oh yeah. We have a hat. This is the hat, right? Conspiracy realist. And on this side, it has a little eyeball thing. And it's all, what's it called? When they
for sale.
No. It's embroidered. And it's actually good. All right. This is good quality. It's not
That's not the cheap Chinese shit.
Yeah, this ain't no cheap shite. This is the good shite. And
is it made by proper real life child slaves?
I hope so. I don't know.
Good.
I cannot confirm.
Because they've got those little hands. They can do all that really good detailing.
Yeah, I mean,
and they're afraid that their parents are going to get killed, so they work extra hard.
Oh, Mini Cat was suggesting, I don't know if she's here. She was suggesting that we have merch that says, "I don't support adult labor."
That's cool.
Yes, we don't support adult labor. Yes, I mean, I think I should especially have a shirt that says this. And yeah.
You should say that. We proudly support children getting into the workforce early.
Yes. I mean, I feel shouldn't children, because they have all that energy at a young age. Remember when you were young and you could stay up all night and you could
it should
hang
be
out.
like Benjamin Button living. You start off working and then as you get, yeah.
As soon as you can walk, just walk right to the mines and pick up your whatever tool. Yeah, exactly. Work early, retire early, have your children support you, if kids had to support their families, I mean, people would have more kids. That would help with the population decline, and children work really hard. They can work longer hours. So, like, I mean, I don't trying to see how there's a
So
downside.
are you sending Mini Cat into the plantation as well?
Look, I told her immediately she needs to start working. Like, I'm not supporting this child anymore. She spends too much money and she has never even seen a mine.
And she just wrecked your body.
Exactly. For free? It's ridiculous. They should work. She can like literally like pop up and like be awake. It takes me like 4 hours for my brain to function in the morning. Yes. And yes, I agree with that.
No. We had that Gretard Thunberg. No.
Look, I'm training her to be the youngest world leader. I feel like, by the time you're like 16, you should run a country. Right? At least not Greta. Like, we got to be selective too. Not just any child, okay? Simmer down. Anyways, so
do you remember how funny it was when you literally had world leaders listening to her and pretending to actually give a shit and take advice from an autistic child? It was so, and they celebrated her so much, and then she went and started picking on the Jews. Oh, now where is she?
Oh my gosh, she did. I don't know. Look, they already, even like the Gates people said there's no more climate change. So like, we don't even care about her anymore. Like, we've moved on as a society.
Well, that's the problem. See, she didn't set the death date of the world far ahead enough.
Yeah.
So
she should have waited
set
until
a deadline.
She retire.
She set a deadline that was going to happen within her lifetime. You can't run a scam like that.
No.
You can't make a doomsday cult and then say, hey, I want to get loads of money and milk these people, and then just set the deadline like 2 years down the line. You need to set it like way further down. Like, see, if she wasn't autistic, she'd know this. But unfortunately, retard brain doesn't work very well.
Stop being so tall.
Sorry. I just stool. Gonna get on my knees. Well, I mean,
that's nice. I'm okay with it. So I have this nice little creme brulee here.
Because you're not fat enough already.
No, I'm not. We're fat maxing.
That's right. We got a fat max these days. It's
Yeah.
winter.
It's
Gotta build
winter
up for summer, and then we thin max after that. Looks maxing. Grow a little.
Do you know who this is?
Oh God.
Yes. So we have to.
What was that answer, Steve? Oh God. Oh God, that accident. Who's still following me around?
Yes. Take it away.
Well, it is what it is. Okay. So we're talking about worthless.
Imagine saying that about your kid. It is what it is. Parent of the year right here.
Oh my gosh. Well, we appreciate her support and
her slave labor for your hats and stuff.
Yes, and her little fingers, dexterity, sewing everything. Good job. Anyways, so we're going to start off with talking about the 30 most useless degrees in America. And I would imagine it's the same for the UK and for all of Europe and for even Asia, because like, what's the freaking difference? Anyways, so.
Wow.
Gender studies.
Yeah, let's just do like the top, 15?
Have you actually got a list of the most useless ones?
Yes.
This
based on my calculations. For low employability, high underemployment, limited direct career paths outside of
Social studies.
academia.
Because what job are you going to do with social studies? Teach social studies
I believe
to
it is
other
on there.
people who are not going to have a job unless they also become teachers in social studies.
Yes.
But it's required to learn social studies
So
if you want to get other degrees in the United States, which is stupid.
I don't know if underwater basket weaving is real, but I know like basket weaving is actually like a degree. But anyways,
I thought
so
that was something you learn like once you retire and you go to a home.
I mean maybe.
And then they turn the air off and just leave you down there weaving a basket until you die.
Okay, calm it down. All right. Number 15, most useless degrees based on my criteria: history, sociology, psychology, communications, fashion design, culinary arts, which you would think you could use that, but I guess not. Okay. And then we have gender studies, liberal arts, English literature, philosophy, music, theater, drama, fine arts, art history, and number 1, based on my criteria, is anthropology.
Okay.
Now, I didn't include like the most ridiculous things that shouldn't even be like degrees because obviously.
There's stuff there that I disagree with.
Okay. So, based on my criteria, which is low employment opportunities, very high underemployment, so people with these degrees are likely to be unemployed, or limited direct career path outside of academia. And based on, I forgot, return on investment. So like if the degree costs more than it's worth, it's on the list.
Okay,
if you're
like
just
so
going to
you're
get the
looking
same
at it
amount of
from the
money.
you're looking at it from an individualist perspective, and
Yeah.
from that perspective, okay, fair enough.
Yeah,
I
because like,
guess I
why
can
am I
kind of
going to
understand it.
go to like, for example, like let's go look at this again. I have number 13 worst degree in my opinion is psychology. I have this degree. I would never make 100,000 with that degree. You will always make like barely a living wage. Like you could never live on your own with that degree.
Which one? Sorry.
Psychology.
It depends on if you go.
Here. I don't know about Europe. I don't know about anywhere else, but here you
Well, no,
would
no.
need to get like a master's with clinical experience.
Yeah, you'd need
Yeah,
to open a private practice, and
exactly.
but that goes. People think that doctors are rich. It's like, well, unless you get a private practice, not really. The investment, the time investment, and also the financial investment to be a doctor, to become a surgeon or an anesthetist, for example, you're not really going to be seeing much money back unless you go into the private sector.
And then from the business perspective, I've had a lot of different psychology practices try to they wanted to come into my space to sublease
To rent.
out, to rent out, and they wanted to subdivide all these rooms into these tiny little closets. That was
Yeah,
the only way
yeah.
that they could pay for their rent and do what they do. So it
But
doesn't.
the problem is it's like all these extra hidden taxes almost that hit you afterwards, like your registration fees, which increase exponentially and are way beyond like the regular cost of living increases. It's absolutely stupid. You gotta pay to be able to be registered, so that you got to spend money so that you can earn money. Like I want to spend money so that I can do a job. Like this job that I'm qualified to do, I now have to pay for a license to be able to work, so that I can then earn money to pay again for a license so that I can work again. Because every year, like you keep smacking more money on it and more money on more money on it, and then also you have to be insured, right? So you got to pay your insurance, which
Well,
used to be paid for by the people who employ you, but now you have to pay for it, right?
well,
It's like,
those things are a part of it, but they're small. the biggest is rent of a space. So I've
Yeah.
seen these psychology practices, they all band together.
See,
And
that's when you go private, though, right? And you
Well,
need your private space because otherwise your employer will give you a space.
well, you have to have an employer. So who's the employer?
there's no employers.
So the
There's
employer would be the PhD that you're working under.
no. Okay, no. Okay, you guys
can't
don't know
work
anything
under-
about psychology. Stop. This
No,
is
I'm talking
my
like
this is my field. All my friends are in the psychology field. I can speak on it, and especially for America, I can't speak for Europe, and I can't speak for other states. I'm in Florida. I heard it could be
you don't
easier.
have public sector psychologists out there.
Yes.
Yeah.
You do?
Yeah.
Okay, so if you've got a public sector one, then why would you as a
Oh my
worker?
God. Okay, the average for the public sector is probably about 45,000 a
It's
year.
that-
Well, no, exactly. That's what I'm saying.
You need
That's
a
what I'm saying. So
master's.
that's
You
the
need a
motive.
PhD to make 45,000 a year.
Yeah,
PhD
but the motive to then go private where you can make more money, but that's when you have to pay for your space. If you're in the public sector, I'm guessing you don't have to pay for your space.
Okay, the average you make if you pay for your own space is still going to be like about 50,000.
a space of it's very difficult to find an office space that's less than 6,000 a month in my area, and this is the smallest space possible.
In most places in Europe, I don't know how it is in America now, but most places in Europe, most private psychologists will do at-home counseling
That's illegal.
just because they don't want to pay for private space. And also it suits most of the people they work with because one of the most kind of highest trending behavioral issues of people is that they're kind of like they claim to be agoraphobic. It's just that they're lazy. So they'll prefer somebody to come to them to counsel them.
Well, I can't speak for Europe, but here you can work for like a Better Health and maybe you'll make like 40,000 a year and do it like online or whatever.
Friend of the show.
No, we don't have any association with Better Health or whatever it's called. But like,
Problem I think is like with the degrees is what I think puts a lot of people off and why some people get a bit of a kind of negative look at that particular field of study is the actual people that get attracted to doing it. Okay. It's no wonder that psychology is one of the most overrun by the left fields right now. Because just look at the people, look at those people in general. These are all people who love nothing more than telling other people what the fuck is wrong with them.
wow.
Point there.
I mean, I can't disagree. I do love telling people what to do. Mm-hmm.
And why?
But it's true. Just look at those people.
They're wrong.
Like you're literally 160 fucking pounds. Okay, these
What?
people who like the one you sent me, that fat bitch who looks like she's melting into her chair,
Mm-hmm.
right? They don't know what color they want their hair to be, so they just pick all the colors, right? They subconsciously know that they're a fucking sheep that's being led, so they get a livestock piercing through their nose. They know they're ugly, but they don't want to be called ugly, so they make themselves look even uglier. So that it's almost like, yeah, I know, I'm doing this on purpose, though, right? So, and now their only outlet is to tell other people what the fuck is wrong with them. So they just love to project that shit onto other people, and then they decide, well, hey, I may as well get paid for this. So what are you going to do? I'm going to become a shrink, and I'm going to just tell other people what's wrong with them, because that way I can bully them and get money for it.
All right. I agree. Now we're going to talk about the most expensive college degrees in the United States. All right. So
They used to also, sorry, just want to say, they used to become cooks. No, but they used to become cooks. But that's the other thing you mentioned is culinary arts. Like they're like, yeah, I eat like 20 hours out of the day, so I might as well get paid for that as well.
Yeah. The problem with the culinary arts, I feel like it's because so many people get the degree and they have all this debt that they need to make X amount, and there's not that many restaurants. And if you're a restaurant, like it's weird to think like they don't usually go after someone with a culinary degree. They usually go after someone that just starts cooking and then maybe opens a small place and then gets famous, has some experience, and then they just hire them or they work their way up or something like that. But like, I don't think,
Well,
or
okay.
Well,
they
it
know
used to
someone.
be.
I can speak from
Oh gosh.
my experience in the culinary field.
Yes, mansplain.
Not that it's that, in depth, but there are two ways to get to chef,
Mm-hmm.
and that is through
On your knees.
on your knees
I was going to
first,
say blowing.
and then you've got that's a fast track. But if you want to go more traditional track, then you've got to do you got your washing dishes, you're chopping food, you're a line cook, then finally your manager, which is chef, and then if it's a larger facility, sous chef, and then if it's even larger, executive chef, and that is decades. I mean, those people earned it. Then there's the people that go to school and then they learn all of the management part. They learn everything, which I think is necessary if you want patisserie. The patisserie is a learned art that you have to really grit your nails through, and you need to have someone to have good instruction with. Line cook, no, not so much. But then we wouldn't have these, very advanced restaurants that have amazing food and culinary techniques that, yes, could be passed down, but you can go to school and learn that it's like fast tracking it. And yes, you'll have student loan debt, yes, but if you do have that degree, there may be hotels that will hire you above someone else that doesn't have the degree. And it's very militaristic. They have sergeants, they have privates, they have all these things. But I do think that the culinary degree is important to not eliminate those schools. However, it's more for an elitist sort of person that can afford that, not someone that doesn't have any money and is expecting to open a restaurant immediately.
Well, no, you make a good point there, Steve, because this is why I said no. He does, because this is one of the issues with why I took why I had a problem with the list that Kat made is like I agree with her list when it comes to the individual, but if you're looking as a society, what you should have on offer to society, a lot of those roles, like what you just mentioned there, it's like that's what you need, because back in the day, this is how you'd separate like a good establishment to go to get food from a bad one or from an average one. Because you could go to any old restaurant and you'd have like people doing that, but there used to be these exclusive restaurants where people knew all that shit, and where the waiters also had like silver service training, and not all waiters have that. But you have other countries in Europe where if you want to be any waiter, there's certain countries, like even in places that you wouldn't expect it, like the Balkans, right? Where if you want to be a waiter, you need silver service. You go to silver service training. It doesn't matter if you work in a crappy little sandwich shop, you have silver service training. Otherwise, you can't be employed as a waiter. But in other places, it's like, if you've got that, like that puts you above everyone else because you don't need to have that. So now you can go and, you can work at the Ritz, you can work at the Hilton, you can work at anywhere like where they have that kind of service, where that's an expected thing. But it's like somebody even mentioned earlier, like you don't need why are people doing management degrees, right? I mean, well, look at the UK, look at Germany, look at France. You have all these businesses that are fucking failing with massive turnover because none of their staff will stay. Why? Because none of their managers actually know how to manage, and none of them have actually ever done a management course, and they don't need to. So, I've been in the job for 10, 15, 20 years. Now I'm a manager. So, yeah, but you don't know how to do your fucking job.
Okay. Well, the main part about my list that I feel like we should go over is that I didn't include any as I don't think a pyramid scheme is a good degree. So if your only outcome with your degree is to teach other people your degree, that's a pyramid scheme. And I'm just like, to me, that's like a worthless degree. That's what I consider a worthless thing. In my opinion, whatever. And these are, in my opinion, well, not actually, no, these are, well, yeah, these are the most expensive college degrees in the US that have my parameters: high tuition, extended programs, specialized equipment, professional schooling, leading to costs exceeding $200,000 in many cases. Okay. You got your medicine, MD, dentist, law degree, veterinary, pharmacist, aerospace engineer, chemical engineer, electrical engineer, mechanical engineer, civil engineer, computer engineer. Now, I know people in civil engineering, and since they work usually for the government, they make like $35,000. So they end up not using that degree, which is like really sad. And then computer engineering, it's like a crapshoot. You either really get lucky or you don't. And that's more like I think a political type of career, like the DEI comes into play. Like, are you the right color or the right gender? The rest I cannot say. I did notice all the veterinarians used to be men, and now they're all women. They're all white women specifically. And I've never even seen a white person before in like this area. I've never, like, you're the only one, but like I've never seen like white people. And why are the veterinarians all white girls? Where did they freaking come
Are
from?
they from here and they're moving down?
I feel like they've all moved down here, but like I've never seen any of these chicks before. And suddenly they've replaced all the male veterinarians in the area.
Is it, well, they do say that
men need to learn how to gatekeep better.
Doctors are failed veterinaries. So veterinarian degree is way more difficult than MD-DO.
I know, but like I was so scared because, you know, like, no offense to
In
the
the UK, it's a few years longer as well.
No,
It's a
veterinarian
few
harder
years
than
longer. And to become a veterinarian, you have to study a few years longer than you do to just be a
and
local
they're dealing
surgeon.
with patients that don't talk back.
so
or
they
talk
have to know
them.
all the signs and symptoms without communication.
They have to know about species that they'll never touch.
Exactly.
And if you want to make good money as a veterinarian, you should become most of them end up becoming an exotic veterinarian, which takes even longer and is more money invested, but it's a bigger return.
Yeah. Just like dancing. If you're an exotic dancer, you'll make way more than a regular dancer.
Yeah, the exotic vets fuck the animals as well.
Oh my gosh. You know, I didn't put like the highest. I think that would be up on there.
That would be very high on the poll.
Yes, it would be high on the poll. Okay. 30. Okay, I'm not going to say all 30. Okay, the most expensive college degrees with the least earning potential in the US. All right, these combine program cost, often due to private schools or extended study, with low median salaries, so under 60,000, and high underemployment. Okay, that's going to be, let's go with the top 10. Fashion designer, of course. Culinary arts again, gender studies again, liberal arts, English literature, philosophy, music, theater, fine arts, and art history is the number one. And I know in art history, we would have, like, in my school alone, I think it was like maybe, I don't know, 6,000 kids, maybe something like that, would graduate with the degree like every 4 years or something like that. And of all of those, only 1 to 3 would get a job in that field. The rest, like, they would work for a gallery, right? The rest, nothing. They're just like being an art teacher, or they're like going to get another degree. What the hell are you talking about?
This is true.
Yes. Yeah, we were telling Minnie Cat about like how there's these people who are like homeless, but they work in like groups, and like they work corners and stuff and get donations, and then they go home to like an apartment with kids. So
she's kind of right though, because just think about it, like your average Somalian babysitter makes way more money than any of these graduates today. Just look at those Somalian daycare center workers.
Oh my gosh.
Just raking in more than graduates.
I didn't say 1 in 3. I said like maybe out of like 6,000, 1 to 3 out of the 6,000 would get a job in the field. And that's just in my college that I went to. The
You
art
did actually
history
say
was
1 in
just
3 though, but I did realize that you meant 1 or 3.
Not 2. There's never 2. It's 1
It's not.
I
It's
said,
not.
or
No.
3.
look, you
Odd
guys.
numbers only. If they're even, you're in the wrong field.
Oh my gosh. Anyways, okay, what else? Yes, finally it happened. I know, 100
Yeah.
years later. Okay. Now, these are the most common degrees in the US, all right? Based on college degrees, enrollment data, and blah, blah, blah. Most frequently pursued majors. We have
Protester.
number 10, liberal arts general studies, one of the worst degrees. The top
Right.
10 is one of the worst degrees. Then we have computer science, okay. Communications, okay. Engineering, okay. Education, if you want to be broke, okay. Psychology, another terrible option if you want to be broke. Biology, biological sciences, that's fine. Social sciences, history, broke. Nursing, health professions, okay. Business administration, I would say broke. I'm just going to go ahead and say broke. Because look, shh, calm down. In my experience working in corporate areas, they would like whatever the business did, you needed a degree in that. And then you can get like a master's in like business that was like just a formality. You could do it online. And then if you had the stupid like master's, it's like a fake business degree, then they would hire you. But if you just had a business degree and no other degree, you're not getting anything. Like it's not happening for you.
I think that this MBA thing is more of you could say a pyramid scheme in a way. These corporations, they require, in order for you to go up in the business, that you get an MBA. I know several people. I know a guy, he's an engineer working for a venture capital firm. And in order for him to get up in that company, he had to get an MBA. So he got an MBA, they paid for it, got it done. I know another person, also an engineer. I have a lot of engineers. Anyway, they had him get an MBA. It was just as why did they don't need this degree? He said he didn't use it at all. Wasn't
Yeah.
It was
necessary.
it's a gatekeeping thing.
Yeah,
It's
Yeah,
a
yeah.
gatekeeping thing.
And
Exactly.
it's a weird with business degrees, it's kind of similar to how in most of the world for business degrees, it's kind of similar how it was in America for if you wanted to be a lawyer. If you wanted to make big money as a lawyer, there was this kind of weird, almost kind of like nepotism thing, like this club
Yeah.
thing of it. If you want to go and just do a law degree, you're throwing your money away unless you're going to a specific place like Harvard, right? It depends on where you went. It doesn't matter how well you did. It just matters where you went. And it's the same thing for business. We've got loads of Americans every single year coming to the UK just to go to London Business School. If you've got a business degree, if you did anything business related, but you got your degree from London Business School, you can get a job anywhere, like high up. And your starting salary is going to be like very, 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 very high 5 figures as a starting salary. And within a year to a year and a half, you're going to be on a 6-figure salary. And you're going to be a millionaire within 2 to 3 years. Because they'll take you. Like you can go anywhere. Like I've got friends who went back to America, to China, to Dubai recently, and they see like, oh, Dubai, especially British passport, London Business School degree, you're going to be making over $1 million in your first year. It's just that gatekeeping shit, and that's what this whole degree business. In the late 90s to early 2000s. That's all it was for. Like because that's when you started getting the degrees for everything, and they wanted you to have a degree if you wanted to do a job. Oh, you want to do this job? You have to have a degree. Otherwise, we're not even going to look at your CV.
I have a conspiracy theory.
It was the Jews.
No.
No.
No, I feel like You know, when they did studies, they found that men with families work harder, obviously because they have a family to support. And then when there started being two-parent households, a little bit less. And then they found that single older women worked really hard too. But if you want to really make everyone work really hard, give them a lot of financial debt. So they have no choice. And then they're a slave to the company forever. And I think that's why they're like, you have to have debt before you have this job, because I don't want you quitting on me. I want you a slave to me.
Well,
Just
I
say yes.
mean,
Just say yes. It's okay.
well, that we kind of know what the conspiracy theory is for this
Almost.
because they kind of had to admit it.
You can't handle it.
Well, no, but like, we know that there was a very obvious push for forced mass migration in the late 90s
Yeah.
across Europe and America. You had forced immigration against the will of the people at a time that you also had a rise in unemployment, which preceded that. So, on the back of people finding it harder to get the job, you had your government in America and in most of Europe at the same time deciding we're going to start mass importing third worlders. And the public rightfully got concerned. Like, why the hell are we bringing in so many more people when we don't fucking have work? We're not making money. There's the national debt is on the increase. And now we're going to bring in shit tons more mouths to feed. And people started getting pissed off. And the first thing that they started saying was, these people don't even know how to fucking speak the language or read. So the immediate defense was, you guys are racist, shut the fuck up. And then the next excuse was, these people are qualified. And we started realizing, no, they're actually not qualified. Because I know most people think this is a new thing of, oh, look at them, they're all doctors and engineers. And we were like, really? Because I think doctors and engineers would be smarter to try and come into your country on a fucking dinghy, right? But whatever, okay. But this was sold to us like 40 years earlier, saying that these people are qualified. And to support that, to try and convince the public that this was true, and to also get them into the workforce, there were laws that were imposed in both America, because I was living there at the time, and also in most of Europe, because the European Union copied that. They started saying, if you want to work, we're going to only hire you for most of these jobs. And there was a list that was created. If you have a degree, you need to have a degree. It's compulsory for you to have a degree to do these jobs. So basically, everybody had to, out of school, sign up, commit to massive debt so that they could spend 3 years before they could actually get the job that they want. But there was deals cut with certain countries based on, for Europe, if it's like, it had to be like, if you're in the EU, or if you're a Commonwealth country, or if you're an allied country, right? And they said, we're going to recognize your equivalent of that education. And this is when they had loads of these loopholes, because the equivalent for most of these third world nations was, well, they don't even have that education system set up there. So we can just recognize, well, that's the highest thing that you guys have. And if you've done that, or if you can just say that you've done it, because most of those institutions don't even fucking give you a certificate at the end, you can just tell us and we'll take your word for it. And we'll have to recognize that you can do that job. And that still goes on to this day, which is why you'll have people coming in from a part of the world where they've never even seen a fucking truck and say, I'm a truck driver. And then they just drive into a family and kill the whole family.
Yeah, we saw that.
Well, there you go. So this is how those loopholes get exploited. And it's still happening 40 years later. So why do you have all these degrees for like fucking nothing? In the UK, there is a degree, and I wish I remembered what the fucking name was, because if I told you the name, you wouldn't even know what the fuck it is. Because it's like they're 5 words, and they're all like multi-syllabic words, and it sounds so fucking insane that you think that it's got something to do because it's got like ocular visual something. So you think it's got something to do with like an eye doctor, and it's not. And I shit you not, it's a window cleaner.
Oh my gosh.
It's a window cleaner. But it involves you learning how to do it like on the scaffolds or on the cranes outside the buildings and shit. But like this is nothing that you couldn't learn how to do in a fucking day.
Yeah.
Right? But they did this long-winded fucking process just because they wanted to even gatekeep access to doing something as simple as that. You need a higher education to work in some of our supermarkets. There are supermarket chains where your day is literally stacking shelves and directing people to using a self-service checkout. You're not even going to have to scan the shit for them and handle their money. You just tell them, go over there to a self-service checkout. And you point them to it. At best, you're just going to have to go behind a fucking counter and get a bag for them and give them a bag to pack their shit.
What's hilarious is I was doing a home visit and I went to this condo complex and they had a valet, and this is right after COVID, and he like says, go park over there, give me your key. And then when I come back, he says, here's your key, go pick up your car. I said, this is the valet? He said, yeah. and the patient was like, what?
You're a key holder.
Exactly.
You're a key holder. That's all you are. It's like
he's not even doing it. He's being paid. You got to pay for the valet, everything. Like, what's wrong with this country? Like,
that's the thing.
Oh my
you don't even need a driver's license to be a valet.
Right.
Like, just give me your key. Like, park there. I'll look after your key for you. Like, why the fuck am I giving you my key then? If I've parked the car and I'm going to collect it, why am I giving you the key? What the fuck are you here for? What are you for? What are you for? It's like this is how dumb this shit is. It's like I go deliberate after my shift of work, because I do long shifts, right? So I do like a 15-hour shift. When I finish work, I need to pick up some shopping from like one of those 24-hour express shops, right? Like some just pick up some groceries and shit, because I'll eat at the end of the day, because most of the time I haven't had time to eat during work. So like when I go there and I pick my shit up and I go to the queues, there's like 20 self-service checkouts. And there's a queue with one Pakistani dude who I've seen working there for the past 10 fucking years, and he still doesn't know how to speak English properly. But I'll go to him, and there's usually a queue to get to him. And the reason why there's a queue to get to him and there's 20 free self-service checkouts is because if you want to buy cigarettes and shit, you have to buy it from the guy behind the counter, because they're hidden behind there. So you have to go up to him and ask him for cigarettes. I don't buy cigarettes. And this guy's seen me there for 10 years. He knows that I don't buy cigarettes. And still, after 10 years of me queuing up in the line and coming to see that dude, he will still say to me, you can use the self-service. And I'm looking at him and I'm going like, nah, fuck that. Why? Because it ain't my fucking job to scan this shit. It's yours. If you're going to knock some money off of my shopping for me to scan it myself, then fine. But if you're here, you can fucking do that job. Because I'm paying for this shit, so you can scan it and bag it. Otherwise, fuck off. Why are you here?
Yes, and we have a super chat. This is maybe the third one I've ever gotten. Department of Pneumatics, unless you're earning a degree in a STEM field and work in that field, go into the trades. You'll be better off and not in so much debt. This year makes 30 years I've been an electrical engineer. Yay me. Yes, I 100% agree. I feel like everybody should just do, what's it called? Like apprenticeship. Yeah, where you get paid like a small amount because you're actually working and you're on the job training. I think that's what we should go back to. I think.
And the trades are necessary and there's a lot of lazy people out there, and there's a lot of houses that could burn down if you do things wrong. I mean, it's not that you can't do it, but you can. But
if you know how to wire shit up,
it's
if you know how to wire shit up, if you know how to replaster and paint shit, if you know how to fix a boiler and a toilet, you're never gonna go hungry. Because people are always gonna need people to do that shit. I did second time I went into uni, I did electrical engineering. And off of the back of that, I went into sound engineering, AV shit, and I started doing home cinema installations. I made more money doing that job than the job that I do now. The only reason I stopped doing it was because back when we had the credit crunch there wasn't so many people wanted to do that shit, wanted to pay for that stuff. People's purse strings tightened up, and I could see like I need to get something else. I need to do something else. And I was like, yeah, well, and that's literally why I went to this job. I was like, what's gonna keep me working constantly? Yep, you're always gonna have sick and dying people. So I just got into that.
Though I do think there are some trades that have an expiration date on your career.
On your body.
Well, that's kind of why I moved away from electrical, because like doing that shit, like cinema installs, like gutting stuff, like just hooking shit up, wiring shit up, moving around like AV amps that weigh fucking like 60 kilos and speakers that just weigh a fucking metric shit ton. That, yeah, like you're not going to be able to do that job for long. And I was working with a guy who had like 6 herniated discs and another guy who had like God knows how many fucking hernias.
Dude, you know why? Like we need to go and like let children do that stuff. I'm with you guys. We need to put children into the workforce
They heal
early.
faster.
They heal so much faster. They
Yeah.
regenerate. You know, like if a child hits their head, they won't like their brain can regenerate before a certain age, like easily.
I want to see like 8 little kids carrying like one of those Arcam AX11, like a 80 kilo amplifier, like this big boxy motherfucker. And I want to see them like dragging that off of a truck into somebody's house, looking like one of those Egyptian hieroglyphs of those slaves pushing the big blocks to build a pyramid.
Yeah.
It'd be amazing.
You know, they built the pyramids. Children can also bring in 60 kilo, which is like 120 pounds.
Look. We're not thinking. Thank you, Lord Gonzo, for the super sticker. And yes, children are indestructible and we should use them to their full capacity.
And also, if they die, they're just young. You could make another one, replace them.
Well,
they haven't had kids yet. Usually,
but you haven't spent money on a university education on them yet.
But wait, have you heard of the potential? Like, if somebody was Louis C.K. was talking about this.
Oh gosh.
Where if a child dies, there should be more of a payout than if, say, a 99-year-old dies.
Because you lost all their possible income.
Wait, let me be more clear. 99-year-old in hospice, about to die. He's got maybe a day left, and he dies. So it could be a $10 payout. But if say a 4-year-old that was working in a Nike factory, no offense to Nike, friend of the show, I'm
sure they're very ethical if they do use children.
But then there should be a greater payout, like maybe millions, like several, maybe even 100 million. You don't know the potential of this child. This child could have made.
Okay, Stephen. It's fine. Okay, jokes aside, I definitely think, look, if we do this is an important thing to mention. If we do have like AI and robots, children can work AI and robots. They have little hands.
Way better.
They're really good. Exactly. In video games, they can like just sit there with their controllers working the AI plumber robots. It'll be a fun game for them. They can sit there and do it for hours. The robot
and also
will
the cool thing,
go.
The cool thing is they haven't really learned about mortality yet at a young age, right? So if you get them playing like Call of Duty, doing that kind of shit, and you just put like that same controller in their hand, but it's hooked up to a drone that's going to bomb some shithole. It's like they don't know that they're actually killing people. For them, it's fun.
Yeah.
Right?
Just tell them
They're
it's
just
a
like, oh
war
yeah,
team.
yeah, yeah. They're just like, yeah, like, we're just gonna, I got some countermeasures. I'm gonna just launch a drone out there, and like, they don't know that they took out some like narco boat or you know, some bunker somewhere. For them, it's
You
just
know,
a bit of fun.
I always thought my conspiracy theory was that Halo was used as a recruiting thing for autonomous, like AI robot, like controllers, like people who were gonna control the super robots remotely, and they just like needed to find people who'd be
So
good
I
at
love
that.
how many cat just said my species.
Oh my god. Yeah. I was because I was telling her she like
The
does robots or
species of
something.
children. It's like,
She was what was it, making robots or something for her like club or something. And she said there's these dudes in suits that came to watch them make their robots or like see how the robots worked, and they were really interested in the robot her group made.
wait, dudes in suits watching the kids in the school.
Yes. And I'm like, I think that's like CIA, like recruiters or government people, like to
That's
see.
called pedophiles.
No, because it seemed like how she described it, it seemed like the administrators invited these people over to, and like they had like a charcuterie board spread for them to come and like sit and watch the children's things, and they were not parents, and they're in suits and they're like staring at the kids' robots. And I'm like, that seems like recruiting to me. And then I told her, I'm like, make sure you look stupid, honey.
What I said is you should go up to
So,
these
so
ones,
what did
take
she
a
do
picture
to
with
look
the drone,
stupid?
and they go, huh?
No. I don't know, but like, for the next time, I said, don't look too smart. I don't want you recruited. Yes,
Got the leftovers of the food. Yeah, there was probably some like Rohypnol on that shit.
Oh my gosh. Did you guys feel woozy after?
Here,
Oh my
all the
gosh.
good ones, come and eat the food.
Oh my
Come and
gosh.
eat the food, and then you wake up on an island with a broken ankle.
Oh my gosh.
And they say, "Run,
Or
run,
they
little child."
or they say put these robots together or something. Or like play this game, this drone war game. It's totally fake, I swear.
Put this iPhone together quickly. Here's another one. Here's another one.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. We're very happy.
It needs to just. I miss the days where it's simple, where it's like you wake up on an island and they give you a weapon, and it's basically just battle royale.
What?
You
Battle
never
Royale,
watched
that's,
battle royale?
What's that?
Fortnite.
Oh, like a Fortnite thing?
No,
I
no,
mean,
no, no, no. It's a movie.
Oh,
we don't know.
Watch battle royale.
that's a movie?
We have no
Okay.
idea.
That's a movie.
I
There was
like
two
when
of
you
them.
don't know, but like you just come up with something
No,
in
but
our
Battle Royale is from.
Battle royale is also a game mode in first-person shooters and stuff, but it was a film. There was two films, but yeah, watch. Well, it wasn't originally like it was a game mode for ages, but there's a film called Battle Royale. Bunch of school kids literally wake up on an island, and each of them's given a weapon, and it's basically last student standing. It's kind of like,
like dodgeball with guns.
like meets Lord of the Flies. Just
Children of
check it out. Check it
Nice.
out. It's really good.
Nice.
And it's crazy because like some people get like a gun, others get like a penknife or a dustbin lid. It's just like it's so fucked up. It's just luck of the draw. But yeah.
All right, let's do some top US A degrees with the most unemployment after graduation. Fine arts. We got film, video, photography arts, architecture. That I didn't know that. Okay, interesting. History, political science, economics. Let's see, what's another one? Performing arts, obviously.
But see, the funny thing is that this is just, again, part of the blame has to come on the person who decides that they want to do this, or the parents that let their kids pick this and that support them through it. Because
Yeah.
these are all fields that if you succeed, the payout is massive. Like, oh, performing arts, okay, but if you end up in Hollywood and you're not
Yeah.
worried about your asshole getting wrecked,
Oh my gosh.
you're gonna
Also,
be you're gonna be making millions, right? You know, dance, theater, music, whatever. You do that shit, and you end up being like, look at fucking Beyonce. She's like half a billion or something. However much she's worth now.
yeah, but she
So it's
didn't
like,
go to school for that. There was never
no, but
any
there's
education.
quite a few of them do. Quite a few of them do. They'll do some performance shit and then end up doing that stuff. Like,
Most of
quite a
them
few of
that
them
I
do.
have seen, like here, like the Disney stars, they were recruited when they were young just to sing, and they would just get hired when they were young, like way before, like
Yeah, but those
school.
are like the Disney Club kids. Those are the ones that, like, basically, like Steve said, you know, they got fast tracked because they were on their knees, and that's how they got put into that.
Okay.
Look
So
at
I
those
got
people though. It's like who out of them is still sane today?
I want to say
Brittany,
maybe
she's a head
no,
case.
not Britney. Christina Aguilera seems okay. Not
Nah,
great, but
she
she's all
had her.
right.
She went from looking ridiculously hot in that I Am
Yeah.
Beautiful thing, where she
Yeah,
looked
yeah.
fucking ridiculously hot, and then all of a sudden, in like a few music videos later, she looked like a 200 pound fucking. She looked like a black chick. She looked like she was in blackface, and she was wearing like black shit clothes.
Oh my gosh.
Do you remember that? Where she piled on the weight, she looked like a fucking like a hippo.
I wasn't into her at that time, but like I remember when she gained weight. And, like,
Christina was always hot to me than Britney.
no, I
I
thought
always
she
thought
was
Christina
always
was hotter.
hotter like as well. I didn't think Britney was. No offense to Britney, I know she has fans.
Friend of the show.
Britney's a friend of the show. We wish her well. All right. So we got degrees in the US where the only high paying job prospects are being a professor of that degree.
Mm-hmm.
You have ethnic studies, gender studies, archaeology, literature, linguistics, religious studies, theology, classics, history, English literature, art history, and philosophy as the top ones. And number 24 is rhetoric. I just wanted to say that.
Yep.
We know one. Yeah. And we have the careers in the highest demand and the lowest. Okay, this is what we're working up to. The careers in the highest demand with the lowest supply by 2030, right? So this is based on forecasts, skill gaps, and reports showing shortages. All
Border
right.
control officer.
No, but soon, yes. Okay, let's just do the top. Let's do the top 10. Okay. We have, what is the percent? The projected growth rate. All right. Robotics engineer, 25% growth rate. Environment AI engineer, 22% growth rate. Electric vehicle specialist, I don't know what that is. 30% growth rate. Software developer, 25% growth rate. Physician assistant, 20% growth rate. Nurse practitioner, 40% growth rate. Okay. Renewable energy engineer, 25% growth rate. And cybersecurity specialist, 29% growth rate. So, oh, wait, I'm not done. Data scientist, 34% growth rate. And AI engineer, 34% growth rate. So that's like,
Yeah, see, all of the tech ones that you reported there, all
yeah.
of the ones that are like, you know, software related, working with software, working on computers, all of those that you reported, the growth rate is actually because there's less people going in to study that because they know there's not going to be a future in it.
Yeah.
Because all of that shit, although it's in high demand right now,
Mm-hmm.
in a few years' time, they're going to be laying all those people off because all of that shit's going to be done with AI.
I mean, possibly. But
You're
anyways,
still going to need a couple of people to like monitor that shit, but nowhere near as much as that. So it's like, yeah, it's a 30% growth rate. It's not really a 30% growth rate. It's a 30% decline in people applying for it. Like, nobody wants to be doing that. So you've got like there's a deficit in people that are qualifying because they know that there's no point in spending money on that when you're not even going to have any job prospects in 5 years.
Yeah. So I got here. This is the top, let's say, 5 careers with the highest projected earnings by 2030. High demand, low supply. So there's not that many people to fill it. Incorporating expected inflation, demand-driven wage growth, sector trends. All right. So we got, and median salaries. I'm not even like asking for like top projections because like I want to be like realistic because I hate when people put like these huge salary ranges and it's like the top end is good, but the low end is sad. I just want to see like the middle of that. So
Median.
Okay, we got let's do the top 5. So 5 is software developer, and you're gonna expect around 145,000. 4 is robotics engineer, 150,000. 3 is AI ethicist, 155,000. 2 is quantum computing specialist, 160,000, and 1 is AI engineer, 195,000. All right.
Again,
So,
I don't really. One of the mistakes that this list is making is it's saying by 2030. By
Yeah.
2030, you're not going to have people doing those jobs.
I feel like they're going to be
You're
less.
not going to need. You're not going to need. If you, one of the things that you said is an AI ethicist, right?
Mhm.
AI is going to know that shit on its own, pretty much by 2030. And if it doesn't, you're not going to need a whole lot of people to sell him that. You're going to have how many companies that are going to be having their own AIs, right? Each one of those companies is only going to need a couple to be the ethicist for them. You're not going to be hiring that many. So even if you have one classroom, if you have one course that has a bunch of people on it to do that, and if you picture a seminar hall with, let's say, 50 kids in it, 60 kids in it, that's going to be more than what's needed. And that's just one university teaching those kids. They're not going to be hiring loads of people and be paying them 150,000.
No. I agree, but that's the same with every job. Like for example, let's say the AI ethicist, like you said, maybe like 4 per company. And how many AI companies are there? Maybe there's
a lot of them.
Actually, maybe
They're
they're
expanding too.
okay. So there's like maybe
There could be government.
But the thing that you've got to remember,
okay, wait,
the thing
hold
you've
on.
got to remember is in tech, in the guys who work in tech, some of them will work with more than one company.
Yeah.
Right. So it's not like each company is going to need its own dedicated team. It's like, I'm going to need you and I've got this. You need to do this for me this week. Right. And it's not like contracted hours salary. It's like you've just got a job and you work with them, you do that one job, and then when they've got another job for you, you do that, right? And you get paid per
like a
the job that you do.
freelance
gig.
Yeah.
So it's like
Okay.
you're not going to be needed on hand 24/7 for this shit.
All right. So what I did was I
but-
took the top one
Right.
from like the highest projected annual salary, which was 195,000. That's AI engineer as an example, right? And I plugged it in to, how much it costs to get the degree, and a mid-level university is assumed to be a public and state institution. And all costs are borrowed from federal loans with no financial aid. So I'm thinking about like, okay, a regular student, their parents make good money, so they don't qualify for financial aid, but their parents are like spending all that money, so they don't have any money to give them for school. And they're like, take out a loan, which is 99% of, middle-class Americans. It's going to be like, figure it out to their kids. Even though they're not impoverished, they're still not going to give them any money. So I said, okay, how much is it going to cost to get that degree? How long is it going to take? And how much you have to borrow, how much you're going to spend in school, like food and, shelter, all that stuff, calculate all that stuff. And projections for the salary, inflation, and buying a home. And I said, when can you buy a home? And adjust for inflation, your raises, and just for inflation tuition, and just for inflation housing prices. Put 20% down for the house, pay off your student loans, calculate all of this, and like way more than I'm even going to go into. And I said, how long will it take? And for this scenario, it assumes nothing bad happens, consistent employment, average lower end outcomes, and a higher starting salary of 100,000. This is what it said. It said, time to afford a home, approximately 12 years after graduation to save for the 20% down payment, which will probably be around 140,000 by then to purchase, because I wanted a 3-2 standalone home. And I said, you want to be within an hour in rush hour traffic to your job. And I said, like Dallas, like wherever the, tech, big companies are located in Dallas, Texas, within an hour, rush hour traffic drive. I want a house that's a 3-2 so that you could have a family and, still paying off your student loans, still doing all that stuff. It says you'll be able to buy a home by age 36, right? If everything works out properly by age 36, you could buy a home, right? And then I said, all right, what about like retirement and savings and stuff like that? And then it's like, okay, let's see. That one says you can retire probably by age 65 with that. Okay.
But savings will be 3.2.
Just want to bring something up from the chat.
Yeah.
So, Lord Gonzo's basically pointed out. He said that some companies might not opt for AI for ethical reasons.
Possibly.
And he said DC Comics, for example, promised never to use AI for their creative control. So, like, I remember there was quite a few companies. There was games development companies. There was comics companies. Like, I think Marvel even made the same promise. But then they got exposed that they were actually using AI, especially with gaming companies. And they're like, oh, but this is just kind of like saving time. So, yeah, it's saving time, but it's stuff that your creative team would have had input on, which now they don't have input on. And I think one of the best was one of the head of like some in Japan, one of the top guys working for some manga company. I can't remember who it was right now. I think it was the guy who created Dragon Ball, actually. I can't remember. But basically was shown what AI could do. And I wish I remembered what he said because it was really powerful. It was really beautiful. But he's basically saying, like, you're taking the soul out of this. Like, I know that we can get something to do that, but this isn't art. Because all as it is it's like churning out something that's been fed into it. And it's creating like basically a simulation of that.
Toriyama.
And it's not something that's been organically created. So that's one of the things that AI can't do is it can't synthesize something original. Whatever it gives you is something that's basically a product of what was put in it before. Whereas human intellect, you can actually synthesize something that hasn't come from something that you've seen or experienced before. And the way he put it was great about like why you need to steer away from this. You need to steer clear from this. But the main reason why is if you look at everything that you've been saying now, which is tech related, like, AI engineer and AI ethicist, like, AI support, like a robotics engineer, all of this stuff is to create something that is a tool to make life easier. Okay? Whether it be AI or robots. It's something that is supposed to make life easier and more convenient. And by that, the real definition of that is to make us work less. So these are all jobs to create something that's going to usher in an age where we don't have to work anymore. And that's going to come a lot sooner than 2030, I think. So when you're looking at the list for these jobs like for 2030, I think that like the people that are going to race into this industry are basically going to obviously be doing a job that's going to put them out of a job. And yeah, like he said, and dumber as well. Yeah.
Mhm.
So that's when you first said to me that this is what you wanted to talk about today. I think it was one of the things you mentioned was a dumbing down of the education system.
Yeah, I have a
And-
video for that.
Right. So if you look at what all of this has done, like post-COVID and with AI becoming more popular at roughly the same time, you notice that even though educational institutions have come back into working the way they did prior to COVID, the kids are still continuing to get dumber and dumber and dumber.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not just that year out of school and not being able to socially integrate the way they were supposed to. They were saying we're going to create a generation of basically social retards who don't know how to speak properly, who don't know how to communicate with other kids, who have higher anxiety and all this kind of shit, and who don't, who missed out on learning during a very valuable formative phase. Well, it turns out that even subsequent generations who didn't miss out on that year are just as retarded. And it's because of AI. It's this massive reliance on AI. And they're saying, oh, like, well, we're going to prevent that from happening because if they submit a paper, we can just run it through a program that's going to scan it and it's going to tell us if there's if it's AI generated or not. But these kids are smart enough to know that once they've got an AI to write it, they've got another program which can basically rewrite it in a way that those programs aren't going to detect that it's AI generated. It's going to make it seem like a regular human wrote it. So it's like these kids are still just relying on AI and not thinking for themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we did kind of do it with Wikipedia in college.
I never used that.
Well, or like you're doing research for something, and then you find the easiest store of information, and then you write that off of it, but you change it slightly. Yeah, it makes it easier, and it's definitely something.
The only thing that I used Wikipedia for, because I had to do the reading for like my stuff, but the only thing I used Wikipedia for was finding sources.
Yeah, just
to cite references
first. Obviously.
Yeah, no, just to cite the references. It's like I'll go to Wikipedia and I'll find like the topic that I was writing about, and I'd scroll to the bottom and I'd literally just go through all the references just to put references in.
Yeah, that's what I used it as a resource for. I would never use whatever was written.
You don't have to lie to us. We're okay with you cheating. It's fine.
It's not cheating. It's just using it. You still have to read it. You still have to figure it out, and you still have to write it.
Look. None of school matters anyway. So who cares? Like, you don't remember anything. Who cares what you did? If you wrote something, all the answers on a piece of paper, you looked at it for the test, you still got your degree. Who cares? We're moving on. Anyways, I want to show you guys this video because I think it's funny and important.
Cat's touchy because she relies on AI for everything.
No, how dare you? Okay, so I don't know exactly. This is a long video. I'm going to try to just get to some of his points. He's talking about how he fixed or tried to change the education system, and then they didn't let him because he didn't understand everybody's motivated factors for why they wanted to keep it.
This was in China at a Chinese university?
I don't remember. It doesn't really matter because it applies to the world.
Yeah, it would apply to other universities.
Okay,
what happened to him?
So he talks about like what are they looking for? So they're looking for, well,
students were required to read a lot of books. In fact, I established a 5,000 book English library at the school where students can just go and borrow books and read. I wanted to teach students the joy of reading. And then in terms of activities, I didn't want students to do modern United anymore because I didn't want kids sitting around just talking. I wanted to let them do things, okay? So I set up 2 new activities. The first is called the coffee house. And the coffee house is the first coffee house in China, in the Chinese high school. There are lots of coffee houses today, but I was the first person to set up a coffee house where students had to run a business. They had to work as waiters and provide good service to customers. And it was a collaboration effort. As you can imagine, this is great for the students to learn collaboration, to learn finance, to learn entrepreneurship. Okay, so that was a very successful activity. Do you have a question?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
I mean,
Cares
was
about
that-
this.
Around the world, where students every day had to report, collect information, write articles, edit, and publish it. And they worked until like midnight, sometimes until 2 a.m. And then at 7 a.m., they had to get up.
Okay, so basically he's talking about how he designed a school program and it made all the kids do better and smarter and blah, blah, blah. Like he basically designed a great education system where the kids were engaged. They learned to love reading. They got into high-end universities. They did all the good things that you would want, and still they were not happy. I don't know where he talks about that, but we need to get into it. Let me see.
And this program, actually in middle school, became the most famous program in South China. And our students have the best record of college admissions in South China. Okay? So this sounds great, right? Okay, the problem is this. The problem is what happened after I established the program. The first thing that happened was, okay, I was fired. They said, get out of here. Okay? Second of all, the teachers, the parents, the students were all happy to see me go. They were like, get out of here. We never want to see you again. And the third thing that happened was I did come to Beijing and set up a new program that was very similar to this. Okay? But after that, after 4 years of doing this and being very successful at this, I was never allowed to set up another program again. No one wanted me to work in management again. Okay? So even though I was successful, even though I worked really hard, even though I was innovative, even though I set up really the best city abroad program in all of China, I was the first. Everyone else copied me afterwards. I was fired. No one wanted me to stay, and I was not allowed to do this ever again. Why? Okay? Well, the reason is this. When I was doing this, the word that everyone used to describe me was not reformer, not visionary, not idealist, not dreamer, but dictator. Okay? Or another word that they used that was more common was, this guy's an asshole, okay? This guy's a complete asshole. Why? Because I insisted on fairness. Okay? I don't care who you are. I don't care who your parents are. I want you to work hard and learn. And as you can imagine, that pissed off a lot of powerful people. Because that's not how the game is played in China. Okay? It's actually not the game how this game is played anywhere in the world. The game is not fair. The game is established by stakeholders. And they play the game.
When you think about it, dude basically anyone who tries to bring capitalism to China, you should be lucky he's alive. The idea of work hard, earn what you work for, like put the effort in. I don't care who you are. Just the better you are at it, the more successful you become. Like, you have better results. True fairness. Think about it.
Exist.
Like in China, he's alive.
But you're thinking just China. No, he's done it in other countries, and it was the same outcome.
But I'm talking about back then when he first spoke about how he did it and how he was treated in China after he first did it.
Yeah, but it was the same outcome everywhere else because
No. I know it's going to be replicable because we know that capitalism is replicable. But
no.
I'm just saying.
I don't know what you're saying. No. I'm just saying like the parents and the teachers and everything and him being fired would be replicated every other country on earth. It's not just a China thing. Don't get in your head that this is just going to happen in China.
No. Today, I get that capitalism and meritocracy is kind of hated everywhere today. I get that, like in the West. Yeah.
No. Even back in the day, even today, like it's always been the same thing because there's never been meritocracy. That's never existed.
Of course you had that. America had that to begin with. That's why America became great. This idea of like America hating meritocracy and capitalism, that's very recent. Not very recent in America's history because it's a short history, but I'm talking about like that only happened with the whole Frankfurt School infiltration and Marxism taking root in universities. That's only been going on for like the past, since the 60s.
No. Well, he was talking about in a previous episode about how, or class, whatever, how the universities, they used to only be for the elites, like Yale's and Harvard's and Princeton's, like the big Ivy League, whatever colleges. They were only for elites and elite children, generations. That's all it was. And then there'd be other colleges that started springing up for the common people, the regular people, to learn a trade or to learn a different career or whatever. And those started becoming very big and getting a lot of money. And the elite school were like, if we don't do something about this, these other up and coming schools for like the commoners are going to surpass us in reputation and money and prestige and all that stuff. So we need to do something about it. So what they did was say, okay, we will allow a few people to come in, but it's not based on merit. And he goes into this whole thing about how it is actually, they say it's based on merit, but they're like, we want to judge the whole person. So we're going to look at your transcripts, your scores, your grades, blah, 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 recommendations from teachers and people who know you. And then we're going to look into you. And there's other criteria that we're going to look at that you're not going to know about. And then
Do
your
you like a
essay.
book in your butt?
No. And what he says that they actually look for is they look for someone. First, if you're an elite, you're getting in. Second, if you're like the best at like maybe some sport or something, you're getting in because you're going to give the school prestige for their sports, right? And then the next thing they're looking for is someone who is traumatized.
Minority.
No. Someone who is traumatized to the point where they have a personality disorder, where they will do whatever it takes to become successful, even things that go against the rules. Like if you're a criminal, or if, like he was saying, his example was he was a very poor kid. He barely got good grades, blah, blah, blah. But he was able to get into, I don't remember, Harvard or Yale or something like that, because he came from a very poor family and went, he was not supposed to go to this school in the wealthy neighborhood, but he was like, he did something against what everybody told him to get into the wealthy school. And then he was treated like crap in the wealthy school, but he's just kept his head down, didn't make any friends, and was able to get good grades in that, which showed that he didn't care, and he had resilience, and he had a personality disorder, which I don't remember what it's called. Is it like multiple personality disorder or something like that? Dissociative identity disorder?
Dissociative identity. That's not really
Yes.
real.
Well, what? This is just what he said. Okay. So he said, like, when you have that, it's usually when you were traumatized and you kind of like split, so you can do hard things that might be immoral to get the outcome you want or whatever. And he says those are the people that these schools pick, because they don't want someone who's like a professor or who opens a small restaurant or a small business or something stupid. They want to make high risk, high reward investments for people who will be the rulers and like the thought leaders, the most famous people, the most influential people, the most highest earners of the future. So they're okay with taking a higher risk on someone like him, because he's a type of person who'll do anything it takes to be successful. And that's what they want. They don't want someone who comes from a healthy background. They want someone who comes from a trauma background that would do all the extra stuff.
I think that you're giving them too much faith with that explanation. I think
that's
it's
still his
there are if you look into people that are highly successful, especially people that are cutthroat, you could say, or people that have to go through a lot of difficulty. I want to say Navy SEALs, say people that are in the military, people that have been through really difficult, immigrants that have come to the United States. These people are able to do things independent of the pain they're going through to get that job done, to do what they need to do.
There's something really okay. I believe in the military. I support the military. Okay.
I wouldn't call them
when I was growing up,
what was that? People that came out of it.
I wouldn't call them successful.
Some of them are.
I would call them some of the most homeless.
Goggins.
He's not common. That's very rare.
I know, but I'm saying the people that have been traumatized.
I'm more
still go
thinking
through
about
it.
like the CEOs that are like probably like more like psychopathic, do the
Yeah,
hard
but
thing.
we know
kill
that
others
the
for
profile
success.
for a
No, I
successful.
would not say a
They're all
Navy SEAL.
psychopaths.
I would not. I would say in business and in life. I wouldn't say that's a
It's not
Navy.
100%
But
across the
no. But I
board.
would say someone who joins the military is someone who needs to be told what to do.
I'm not talking
This is
about
the
that.
complete opposite. Someone who wants to
No.
go to Ivy League.
Not an average person. I'm talking about someone. The people that I know that have. That's not an average, so I don't know how many
Okay, like
on average are, but many of. Look at these businesses of former people that were. I understand what you're saying, being told, but they're doing their own business, right? I know I can count like 10 or 20 of them. They're all successful, not because,
but I mean, highly successful, like
highly
multi-million, billion-dollar.
Wait a
company.
second. Wait a second. You need to think about this carefully because you're covering two personality types here, and both personality types can be successful in both fields, but you can't conflate them. So
Yeah,
like when
the
it
CEO is different than the
when it
successful
comes to the
business owner.
CEO, hang a second. When it comes to the successful CEO type, you can have that, which we've known for a while now, that they said that like incredibly powerful, successful CFOs or CEOs of companies. Usually, you tend to find out that they share that profile with psychopaths. They have that kind of same pathology. And the same thing that drives the psychopaths to be successful is what drives them to be successful. That kind of ruthless, but like amoral kind of behavior. But if you look at the people, like when you mentioned the military people who just get like trained and trained and trained, although I don't want it to sound like I'm saying bad things about the military, because I've done military service and I've had to do that because, well, the situation called for it at the time. But anyway, I still am a big supporter of the military, and I respect anyone who does that. But the simple thing, if you break down how the training works, and you can see it today, especially with young people, the way it works is you get rewarded for conformity.
Yes.
Okay. And for not challenging anyone. And that gets called discipline. It's not discipline.
Mm-hmm.
That isn't what discipline is. But you see, especially when you first meet your drill sergeants, you'll see everyone gets treated like absolute dog shit.
Mm-hmm.
And then you get convinced that the reward for listening and for not questioning and for doing what you're told, the reward is that you get respect, and you believe that you've earned that respect. Okay? You haven't earned that respect. They've just stopped treating you like shit because now you're brainless.
Because you're broken in.
You just do what they tell you. Your spirit's been broken. Yeah. And you only do what they tell you. And you get convinced. If you remember, if any of you have done your military service, you get convinced that the way for you to be the best soldier and the way for you to be safe, effective, okay, and to protect all those around you as well as yourself is to just not think and immediately do what you have to do. Rely on your training, fall back on your training. Okay. Don't question, follow the orders, do what you do, right? Like chain of command, do what you do, don't question it, don't think, just do, react, right? But really, that puts you on a kind of in a drone mentality. And when the shit hits the fan, those who come home get told, well done, you were successful, well done for following your training, well done for following the train of command. And that reinstills it for you. So the next time you deploy, or the next time you're out there doing whatever it is that you have to do and the shit hits the fan again, if somebody gives you commands and orders, you're going to have that reinforcement of, I'm going to fall back on my training. I'm not going to question it. I'm going to follow orders. I'm going to follow that chain of command. That's it. Whatever I get told, that's what I'm going to do. That's what I'm going to do. That's what I'm going to do. You react. Okay? And you don't think about all of those other people who died. You get when those people get killed, what happens? What is the investigation for? To try and determine that somebody didn't follow an order. And that way, it reinforces the idea of the people who die. The times that fails is when people thought for themselves.
Yeah.
They questioned the orders, okay? And it reinforces this delusion that the best way for you to be safe and to come back home safe and to be a good soldier and to get a medal pinned on you is for doing what some other fucker tells you to do, who's probably sitting behind a desk and who's sent it down the chain of command to somebody who's out there who could die, who they don't give a shit about, because all of you guys are expendable.
Mm-hmm.
And so the process of investigation is just so that we can cover ourselves up, protect our asses, and pin the blame on somebody who didn't follow an order. You didn't react quick enough. You didn't fall back on your training. You questioned the order that was given. So it just reinforces this idea of we all need to be a hive mind, and we're all just worker bees, and we can't challenge anything. We can't question anything. We can't even think for ourselves. And that's what the drill sergeants do. They draw that shit in your head so that you don't think for yourself. You just do what they tell you. And the more you do it, you'll feel like this is what makes me safe. This is what makes me good. This is what gets me respect. This is what, if I do this, I don't get shouted at.
Yeah.
And I get rewarded for it. The reward for the good behavior is you no longer get treated like a maggot. You no longer get shouted at. You no longer get punishments. You no longer get like midnight runs in the cold, right? You just get to sleep. You wake up, and that's the reward. The reward is not even a reward. It's just not being treated like shit. And you think that that's what makes you safe, and that's what's going to make you come home safe, and you're going to be alive.
Okay.
Just
So,
by not questioning shit. But in the workplace, it doesn't work like that. That's what keeps you a grunt. That's what keeps you're part of the slave class in the employment. To rise above that and become successful, you do have to challenge shit.
yeah. So, anyways, so like I was saying, they said that he said that the people that they choose for the higher, Ivy League colleges that are not from legacy are the people who do not follow orders and are successful regardless of like where they came from. And they have like, they show signs of not just leadership, but taking chances, taking risk, and what else is like not caring about other people's opinions about them. Like he said a story about when he went to the wealthy kids school, the wealthy kids hated him and treated him like a second-class citizen, and the teachers treated him like he was stupid or whatever, but he persevered and stayed there anyways and did whatever it takes, work 10 times harder so he could, get what he wanted, which was to get out of poverty and stuff like that. Anyways, so yes, I do feel like, okay, and now he's going to talk about, I think right around here. Okay, he's talking about this is game theory. What do the students want? What do the parents want? What do the teachers want? What does the school, I don't know what that is, government, and what does the college want?
Or how they will behave the way they do. Okay, so look, so here is my original understanding of the players, which was clearly wrong, okay, because I got fired. All right, so the students wanted love to learn, get into Ivy League, who were independent, and they wanted faith, right? So they want their kids to get into the Ivy League. All right, teachers wanted to do a good job, right? They want to teach students. They wanted good workers.
I'm going through some of them faster.
They want technology. Okay, they want a strong China. Colleges wanted the best possible potential.
Beautiful.
Okay, they wanted students who will be the leaders of the future. Okay, so 2008, when I set the program, this was my assumptions about who the players were and what motivated them. Okay, clearly, I was wrong about who they were. Okay, so let's go over.
Okay, this is what they want.
And actually, the priority is not to learn. The priority is
Okay, the students want to be popular.
Make friends and to be popular among their friends. Okay, that's just human nature. That's true, right? Then you have please teachers and parents. Okay, this is really important to understand. You're not in school not to learn. You're in school to please parents and to teachers. Why? Because parents are the ones who pay for your way in life, right? The ones who give you food. Teachers are the ones who have fun. Okay, and then get a good college. They believe that success will make their kid happy. What they really want, of course, is face. Right?
Cat.
They want
Pause it
their
there for a
kid.
sec.
Yeah.
This is when I said I think he's putting too much faith in certain things. And here he's doing it with the students, right? If you mirror this on how your military training goes, okay, how they condition you for that. And if you apply that same kind of human behavior that a new recruit has in the military to how a student is here, he says, what do children want? They want to be popular, right? I'd argue that that is expecting too much from them. If you aim slightly less than being popular, what is your goal? Your goal is, I don't want to be unpopular. I don't want to be an outcast. I don't want to be the one who gets bullied. And that is what most kids will go for. And the next one is they want to impress their parents and they want to get into a good school. Slightly lower, aim slightly lower is I don't want to disappoint my parents. I don't want to make my parents mad and upset. Only a few of them are going to be high achieving enough. Only a few students are going to have their goals set high enough to be like, I want to be popular. I want to impress my parents. I want to make them happy. I want to get into the best school. That's not going to be a majority of kids. That's going to be a minority of kids.
Mm-hmm.
The majority of the kids, especially the downtrodden, beaten down fucking kids with broken spirits today, are going to be like, I just want to go to school and not get beaten up today.
Well, I mean, that's not something that really happens in school nowadays. You're
Well,
not
nowadays,
getting
yeah,
beaten
because
up.
you've broken it, but they get harassed other ways. They get
Maybe, like,
bullied on social media. They
yeah,
get
but
like
now it's
fucking
illegal
all
where
this
they could go to jail and the parents of the kids can go to jail. So it's like,
for
that's not,
bullying,
yeah, for online
Yeah.
bullying.
for online bullying. Yeah, how much of that do you think actually gets caught though?
Well, all you have to do is report it now.
I'm just saying, like, I think that like you're never going to fully eliminate bullying from schools. Okay.
Well, I never even saw bullying in schools. Like, there's the, if you want to say bullying, there's the low key bullying that is not real bullying, where like you just don't get invited to the party, or somebody tries to sleep with your boyfriend or girlfriend
If
or
there's
whatever.
no bullying in schools today, why is like the self-deletion rates of kids so fucking high compared
Because
to
they're
what it was before?
depressed, they're on antidepressants, they're stressed out. The workload, there's like 1,000 reasons. There's
We
the
know
workload is
that
10 times more
the
from
more you
preschool.
well, arguably the workload isn't 10 times more.
It is. It's actually 10 times more.
If
And it's busy work.
you need to look at what the work actually is.
I do know.
Okay, so like there's been quite a few studies that have actually showed that kids are coming, and it's proven. It's not even like that they've kind of shown it in a way that you can dispute it, but there's loads of documented trends about structural shifts, research findings which show that there's a massive decline in various types of knowledge, right? So like kids, for example, don't know how to critically think like they used to.
They're not allowed to.
Well, yeah. So like that's because like if you look at like, you know, you've got like I think it's five distinct areas of pedagogy, right? So when you actually look into it, you'll see that you've got the constructivist side where it's like if you look at how teachers are supposed to teach, when students are starting to actively build their understanding about stuff, the knowledge of a subject through various experiences, whatever kind of teaching methods you use, the teacher is supposed to reflect on those experiences. And that leads into reflective approach teaching. But you've got like the collaborative approach where like you have group learning, inquiry-based approach, integrative approach, all of that stuff has been phased out of teaching now. So this is why kids are suffering, because teachers aren't teaching the way they should be teaching. And that's done deliberately. That's done deliberately because, like you said, like you don't want kids to be constructively thinking anymore. How can you have, for example, inquiry-based approach in biology today? I mean, okay, it's started to shift a little bit because of the law changing. But if you imagine during like the Biden admin, right? In America, you're a student, you're learning biology, a teacher's teaching you. Inquiry-based approach is when students are supposed to pose questions and you're supposed to challenge things. You formulate different problems or scenarios. And a teacher should be doing that too. And you're supposed to get a student to question things and analyze by looking at a situation from various sides. How are you going to do that when you're supposed to be teaching your kids that only one thing, that men can become women, women can become men?
Well,
And
they're
that's,
not teaching that like anymore.
I know I said they're not anymore, but I'm saying that for a good long while they were teaching that. And we know that we're teaching that. And that we're teaching kids that like it's not a binary thing. Even in biology, because they were tying in sex, 100% tying it in and conflating it with gender. And saying that because gender is fluid, therefore sex is not binary, which is completely against biology. But they were teaching kids that. And we've got it on record that they were teaching kids that.
Yeah, well,
And even though the law has changed, you still, just the other week, you had a woman who would not answer whether or not a man can get pregnant. She refused to give an answer to it. And less than a day later, you had two other guys being posed the same question and also again refusing to answer it. And I think even Gavin Newsom was caught up in that shit as well. So like, even though the law's changed, you're still not changing it. So how, if the people on that level are not playing by the book, how do you reckon the schools are playing by it? And I don't want to stick to just that one issue, but I'm saying in general, we know that the reason why you have all of these crazy fucking courses and degrees now in things that are completely unnecessary and aren't going to get you employment or any kind of gainful employment, the reason you have that is to dumb down people. It is to dumb down people. This is why you have these courses that are not going to get you a job other than being a teacher who's going to teach a whole bunch more of people to not have any kind of gainful employment other than becoming a teacher again. Teachers just teaching other people to become teachers that are going to only be able to teach other people. But nothing else. There is no actual job outside of this. So
yeah, so
like,
I've noticed that like I feel like the whole like gender studies, social justice thing was just because they're like AI is going to take most of the jobs. We need these people, these slaves to be busy doing something. So let's teach them about this and they can teach each other about this and they can argue about this endlessly. It doesn't affect us or anything of consequence
it's like
for the elites.
it's like when you look at management bloat in a bad company. You have a company and you'll employ a manager, right? Isn't it weird how you've got so many managers in companies today who, if you ask them, what do you think a manager does? The managers don't actually have the power to do anything that management roles were created for. If you look at what a management role was created for, okay, no managers today have the power to exercise any of those things. Instead, that power has all now been given to who? The HR department. Okay. But you've created the HR department and you've given them the power to do all of the things that was originally the manager's role. But the manager can't do that now because he needs oversight from a department. So they took that power away, they gave that power to the department, but they still left the manager as the manager. And he's still getting that power and he is still a chain in the hierarchy, but he's just completely toothless. And the HR department was allowed to grow. And any problems that get brought to their table, they'll say, this is a new problem. We need a structured approach about how we're going to handle it. What are we going to do? We're going to form a new division that's going to be effectively catering to that one thing. So now you have like another branch of HR that's doing this one thing, or a group within the HR department that's dealing with this one thing. And then as soon as they identify another problem and another problem and another problem and another problem, they just create more things. And these people's jobs are to just what? Raise awareness with employers and employees, and send out some emails and send out some questionnaires and create a new training class that you're going to have to do every year. Like, oh yeah, have you done your, you know, whatever management training, or have you ever done this kind of like, you need to do some learning and education shit in this, and we're going to raise awareness about that. We're going to raise awareness about this. And they're just creating more and more things so that they can hire more and more people to grow within this HR department. But it's not fixing anything. And once that job is done, the bloat remains. They don't say like, we've achieved this, these people can now fuck off. Nope. You just keep all of that there. And that's because they know that they've got no other employment waiting for them afterwards. So they need to kind of make themselves relevant. And this is the same thing with university courses. We're going to create this. We want more teachers. We want to employ more people. We want to justify our budget. So we're going to create this stupid shit that we're doing and we're teaching. And it's not really anything useful, but it's just what keeps us employed.
Okay. Well, I feel like most jobs are just busy work to keep the people who are good slaves employed, fighting with the other people who are good slaves employed, and then anyone who makes a fuss or doesn't do as they're told and is easily controlled, then they get like kicked out or whatever, using HR or whatever.
Yeah, this is why I said that I think that he was giving people too much credit. I think that this guy that we were listening to was giving people way too much credit. I think that the reason why he got sacked was because, no, they want people to be stupid. They don't want people to be able to think, especially in a country like China. If you teach people, genuinely teach people, what's going to happen? What's the whole point of teaching somebody something? You teach them something so that they no longer need a teacher. Okay? If you teach them effectively, they don't need you anymore. Okay? This is the problem of, and I'm not saying this to criticize these people, Kat. I'm not criticizing these people. It's not being racist. It's not being bigoted. But it's a common understanding, right? The Jewish mother.
Oh my God! Come on, Damon.
No,
We're not.
no. We all know this.
I don't want to do that. No.
Okay, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to say it.
But we're not going to talk about specific.
I'm not going to say it. I'm not going to say it specifically. I'm not going to.
No, you already did.
Okay, so let me just say, imagine a mother, right, who can believe in anyone, whatever God or not God that she wants to, right? But just imagine a particular type of mother who raises a kid and loves the kid, showers him with affection, doing absolutely everything, worrying all the time for that child, right? Really doesn't want him to suffer, really wants him to be successful, wishes the best for him, but deliberately, maybe subconsciously or unconsciously, makes him need her all the time, so that he's terrified of kind of like flying from the nest. Yeah. Always wants her, is infuriated by her. Okay. Because he feels smothered by her. But at the same time, he's too terrified to leave her. Right. This is basically any kind of communist country, any kind of Marxist country, any remotely Marxist ideology is like, you might hate us. You might be so frustrated with us. You might think that we're killing you and we're suffocating you, but you're never going to leave us. Why? Because we support you. Just enough to not want to leave. Okay? You need those handouts. You need that cuddling. You need that. You need that constant thing that we're giving you to keep you just barely alive and functional, just barely functional, and scared enough to not challenge us, and not having enough faith in yourself. And in any welfare state, that's what you have. You have people that are just, that know that they can't do it alone, or that fear that they might not be successful to go out there on their own and achieve, or broken down and lazy enough to just think, well, why should I bother even trying when these people are giving me free shit? That's basically it. Okay? That's the Jewish mind. Sorry, any mind. That's any
Devouring mother archetype.
Yes. It's not in any one place, because it happens all over the world. All people do it.
Wherever, because Jewish people are everywhere.
Okay, enough.
Oh, sorry. I'm joking. Jesus Christ, come on. Look, stereotypes are a stereotype for a reason.
Oh my
Okay.
God.
And look, I sometimes, like I said, you might, when it comes to mothers, we know mothers genuinely that they love their children, right?
No.
They may mean the best, but you're fucking your kid up. But when it comes to governments, and when it comes to like establishments like this, they don't mean the best. They don't mean the best. Why? Because we've got years of evidence proving that this does not control good outcomes. It does not raise a kid who knows shit and is capable of moving out into the real world. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Because the thing is that if you did create that, if you did teach somebody to know shit so that they could go out there and live on their own, why is it that you have so many kids that even after graduating, even after having like all of their years of university, come out and they got a master's, doctorate, whatever, right? They come out there and they still don't know how to fucking do their tax returns. They still don't know how to fucking, like, just basic shit of living. Like, there's so many kids who, like, will finish school, go out and get a job, but they don't know how to open a fucking bank account of their own. It's like, why doesn't school teach you that shit? Why doesn't school teach you useful shit? Why doesn't it teach you, like, it will teach you all this kind of stuff, which is like, this is stuff that you're going to need to do this job if you want to, like, oh, you might need this one day. Like, yeah, I agree. The stuff that they teach you might need, but the essential shit they don't teach you.
Actually, I have a little bit of a bone to pick.
Oh, God.
In my school, they did teach us business part, but it was old, antiquated, and did not apply to the time in which I was having to open my business. So like, oh, you have to do this, 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 and this, you know, and I went back and I did look at those notes at some other point because I didn't really, was like, no, that's crazy pants what you're telling us to do. It's stupid. But it's old. So anything, actually, there's a statistics of like,
takes 20 years or something.
There's 50% of what is taught in, I think, neurology school, even medical school, is already outdated.
By the time it's taught, yes.
By the time, because it takes so long for them to go through all the rigor.
Yeah, we know. Yeah.
So when you're going to school, to expect them to teach something, I'm not saying that they shouldn't. They should. Home ec is something, you know, they should.
They got rid of home ec.
Well, okay. They should teach them these things, but on the other hand, if they did teach them, it'd be old. It'd be like, we're going to teach you how to use a calculator, but we actually can't currently do that. We're going to use an abacus. We'll use the abacus, and then eventually we'll be able to teach you a calculator. And then at that point, AI can be used. So we can't teach you AI, but we'll know later. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they removed shop way before I started school.
Actually, they should teach people how to use the abacus.
No. Stop being ridiculous.
No, they should. He's not being ridiculous, Kat. Yeah, abacus teaches you how to picture units. and tens. It teaches you, like, when you're adding shit up, you're showing kids numbers, and kids are trying to visualize a symbol that is supposed to represent a value of something. With the abacus, you actually see the value. You see what's there. When you're counting the tens and you group up into like from units up to tens up to, like, when you're showing a kid numbers, if the kid is confused by numbers, he's never going to fucking learn. But when you actually show them, look, this is how many individual units you have. Now you can picture that, and you can see where it goes, and you can see how that moves on to the higher order and the higher order and the higher order. So you can see where everything is in an equation as a visual representation of those units that you're counting. So it does help kids to learn with an abacus first. Because when it's in a calculator, as soon as you type that number in and you move on to the next number and you hit a function, that disappears and the kid can't see that shit anymore.
I learned nothing in college too. Nothing.
Because you didn't
All
have
the
fucking
stuff.
abacus.
I know. But all the
Field.
things that I learned about my field were because of independent study that I did in the school library or books that I bought independently. And then I would ask these professors questions, and they could not answer a dang thing. They were absolutely useless. They had to like word for word read out their notes because they couldn't think on their own. Like, these people had no brain power, no critical thinking. If you asked them something that wasn't like 2 sentences ahead in the notes, they were lost.
Well,
They were
that's because
useless.
for a long time now, teachers started teaching out of packs. They don't formulate their own classes anymore.
Well,
They
I don't
get
think they're
handed those
allowed
packs.
to.
They don't even need to learn the shit. They just regurgitate it.
Yeah. And
And
I have
sometimes they
heard
don't even.
from like I know like the math teachers and stuff like that, they would tell us that for like universities, if you went to like the local state college, like the cheapo college, small college, for like the people who didn't quite make it to university, they could teach whatever in any way they wanted. So the math teachers, the science teachers, whatever, they would say that if you went to like the low level types of universities, they have freedom. So they can actually teach the class how the class can learn. But when you go to the higher end universities that are more prestigious, they have no ability to teach the class how they want them to learn. And they have to do it in such a way that makes it difficult. And like the testing has to be incredibly hard and like pass or fail. And they can't do smaller tests and stuff like that to like get them ready for bigger tests. There's like all this framework that's basically designed to make them fail because they get to make more money for the school, which is a more expensive school if students fail. I think it's like you're allowed to fail 4 times before they
You've
pass you.
you've got that, which is on the one hand, like, yeah, holding kids back or failing them, like, so that you can basically charge them for more. But this is one, like, there's nothing that is more effective than showing what a scam higher institutions of learning are, that cost stupidly high amounts of money, than if you just look at it logically. So there's 2 problems. If you look at places like in America, like Yale, Harvard, right? Or if you look in the UK at places like Oxford and Cambridge, right? Anywhere you go, whatever country you look at that has these kind of like Ivy League type places, they will only take people, well, apart from the whole DEI shit, they will only take people who are like going to be the best of the best. You've got the highest grades. Like, if you score like top tier, we'll take you, right? And in the UK, sometimes it's like we won't even take you. You need to be like higher than that kind of like top percentile. Like a tiny fraction of people are the ones who are going to be allowed to get in. So now that you've taken those people in, the next thing is that we expect that a degree from those institutions is going to be worth more than any other institution because you get like a higher level of learning, right? And the demands are even higher, the expectations are even higher from you, okay? Because these are exclusive colleges. Just think about what that word means, exclusive, right?
Mhm.
You have to be performing top to get through. And to make it through to the next round, to get onto that next year, and then to walk away with a degree. Otherwise, you will be excluded, right? So you have to be performing top of your game, top of your game, top of your game. But then at the end of it, we get told like, yeah, like all of these people are graduating because we're such a great school. It's like, yeah, okay. But number one, you took in the top fraction of the top percentile of the people through got let in the first place. So these people were already pretty much genius level people that you took in. And then you're telling us that pretty much all of them passed, pretty much all of them graduated. So now you're patting yourself on the back, saying like, yeah, nobody fails. Like everybody comes out like with a diploma. Everyone comes out with a degree or with a, you know, whatever it is that they're going for. They all qualify. So, well, how exclusive are you then? It's like you say we only take the top people in, and then nobody gets failed. They all come out with they all graduate. It's like, why the fuck did they need you? Why did you charge them like, you know, like some of those places, like, you know, like hundreds of thousands a year?
Mm-hmm.
But it's like they were already fucking they were already top tier students out of the bag. Like these are the people who, especially when you look at what university is, university isn't like college. It's not like secondary school. It's self-directed study. Okay, they give you a reading list. They pretty much tell you what they expect from you. These are the essays we expect you to write. These are the deadlines. Go do your shit on your own. If you need help, you can come in. You can sit in on a lecture. You can come into a seminar and ask some questions if you want. But it's self-directed study. Okay, we're here if you need some help. But like, that's it. So okay, I see what you want from me. I see the books. I'm going to read the books. I see what the essays are. I've done my dissertations. I've submitted them when I'm supposed to submit them. At the end of it, you give me a pat on the back and a piece of paper. And this is what I paid hundreds of thousands for. So I could have done that shit on my own. I could have asked my friend who goes to that university what they're asking of him and what he's reading. And I could have read that shit on my own. And I could have written that shit on my own. And I could have had all of that knowledge. So especially when you look at YouTube and you see that like some of these top universities have all of their lectures and seminars recorded and you can watch it all. So why are you paying hundreds of that? If what you need is the knowledge and not a piece of paper, you can get that knowledge.
Yeah. But when you
the
think about
fact-
it, it's not about knowledge. It's never been
It's about the
knowledge.
piece of paper. Yeah.
No,
it's
it's
about the
not
piece
even
of
about
paper.
the piece of paper. It's about gatekeeping,
Yes.
putting
And the piece of
poor
paper is
into
the
debt,
key.
putting the poor into debt, and telling dumb people that they're smarter than they are because they did what they were told, like a good little servant, slave, whatever. That's all it is. It's just training for slave labor to be quiet and a good, you know, obedient cattle. But anyways, so like we have to wrap it up. So, all right.
Yeah, I was gonna say I gotta go now because I'm down to my last couple of percent.
Yeah. So you go first. You tell me what like your closing thoughts.
Yeah, it's keeping people, like you said, it is a slave labor thing. It's largely gatekeeping, and it's class control. And the main thing is, especially now with the Western world, it's a way of controlling the cultural subversion, by justifying mass migration. It's like, we need people who are qualified in these areas. We don't have enough qualified people here. But the reason you don't have enough qualified people here is because you've raised the costs on these institutions ridiculously. People can't afford and don't want to get those degrees anymore because they know they're not really worth it. And that gives you an excuse to open the door to other countries and claiming that these are the people who are qualified because of those loopholes in the arrangements that you have with those countries of saying, we're going to recognize the equivalent that you have in your country for this type of education. And then you get somebody who's nowhere near qualified, but because of the loopholes you claim that they are, like they're all doctors and engineers. Yeah, they're coming in over, and it gives you an excuse to say, we need to open these doors. We need to get people from abroad because we don't have any qualified people here.
Mhm.
That's all it is.
Stephen, do you have any closing thoughts for how institutions indebted generations for worthless degrees?
Well, okay. I do think institutions have a place, and there are benefits to them for specific areas in which you need a
Few
license.
specific,
areas.
very few.
But I do think in the context of the United States, where we have institutions that are being supported by various donors and people like even people in their own that are from those institutions, they are going back and saying, oh, we want people from this place. We want people. It's like a feedback loop. But they're also here make you do classes that are completely unnecessary and not connected to what it is you're learning or want to do in the end. You want to become an MD, you have to learn sociology, you have to learn history, you have to go to the Europe. From what I understand, they don't require you to do that. You go and you learn medicine. That's it. So and it's bloated, and they are making more money from it from student loans. That's why it's gotten actually quite expensive in the United States, because it was a carte blanche. They were given, well, you'll get paid and the government will pay for it, and therefore we can charge whatever. That's how it actually got out of hand. One of the ways, there's a whole bunch of other things. Yes, it's out of hand, but yes, there are some things that it is necessary for. Underwater basket weaving, I think you could do that on your own. And I do think a lot of, because of the internet and because of libraries and because of these things, if you're a self-learner, you can go learn all that. But there is one thing that I do know that from some of my professors that I do appreciate, is that when they're trying to explain something that is a little more complicated that a book is not conveying, you can ask that person for clarity that you can't ask to the book, because the author of the book wasn't good enough to actually explain it correctly. So if you want to get more of a deeper understanding from the perspective of the professor, understanding that the professor could be a terrible one or a good one, or really doesn't know what they're talking about. But if you get a good one, and I have had good ones where you can have that discourse back and forth, then that actually helps. That is beneficial. And you can't get that from learning online in a book.
Okay. So as far as I'm concerned, what?
So, I was just going to say, Kat, I have to go quickly, but can I just say one more thing about earlier, just so that we don't sound like woo-woo conspiracy theorists, just to give like one particular example.
Excuse you, I am.
We need to have that.
Okay. But based on the example that Steve was giving about, like, if you wanted to be like an MD or whatever, if you go to Europe, you'll just learn medicine and that's it. We've had in the UK, where we've got the National Health Service, where you can basically get free healthcare. We've had in the UK for a long time now a huge shortage of doctors and nurses. Massive shortage of doctors and nurses. We need more doctors. We definitely need more nurses, way more nurses. And you mentioned earlier that nursing practitioner was something that I think there was like a 30% decline in it or something. So we've had that, especially leading up to COVID, around from about 2015, massive shortage. We needed loads. They created 2 more jobs that was like a slightly lower qualified version of a nurse, kind of like a healthcare assistant, which was kind of easier and quicker to train people up on and cheaper, just so that we could cover like the shortages that we had, so we could have spare pairs of hands. And in the midst of knowing that we had this shortage, what did our government do? in the UK. Here's what it did. If you wanted to become a nurse, and if you want to pay to go to university yourself to become a nurse, it costs a hell of a lot of money.
Mhm.
But if you agreed to work for the NHS, the National Health Service, where, sorry, well, I'll tell you later, but basically, if you agreed to do that, the government would pay for your training and they would give you a bursary. Okay, so they would give you money to go and train under the agreement that when you qualify for 18 months, you work for the NHS. Okay, so you're pretty much even guaranteed a job because they're like, we want you to work for us. And that's part of the way that you're going to pay us back is by being committed to us for 18 months.
Mhm.
Okay. So it was a very good offer. It's like you get qualified for a job that you need a degree for,
Mhm.
and you're guaranteed a job at the end of it. And we're going to pay you to do it. So that was the government plan to support this system. And when we knew we had shortages, their solution was, we are going to stop paying for that education. And we're going to demand that you pay for it. Think how amazingly retarded that is. People aren't coming and signing up to this when we're offering it to them for free. So now we're going to demand that that they have to pay to do it. And not only that, they also closed a huge amount of universities and teaching hospitals. So now, even if you want to do it, it's harder for you to do it than when it was free.
Mhm.
And what happened then? We got loads of people from abroad coming in who don't know how to do the fucking job. And they're meant to be qualified, but they don't fucking know anything. And we know that this is true because near misses, never events, all these accidents, all this kind of negligent shit that needs to be
Mhm.
investigated skyrocketed. And these idiots are twisting their thumbs wondering like, oh, how the fuck did this happen? It's like, this is all about getting in other people from other countries so that they can hit them with a higher tax code because they're not a native person. So they have to pay a higher tax. And they can say that because of the agreement that they have with these countries, that they have to get paid more. Because if they were in their own country, the equivalent pay that they would receive would be higher than what our pay is because the cost of living here is higher. So they're paying these people more money than they're paying British people. But at the same time, they're taxing them on a higher rate. So they're basically lining their own pockets. This is all a massive scam. That's all it is. It's immigration. And the people who come in, you scam them. The people who don't come in to work, you basically give them handouts so that they vote for you. It's just a fucking massive scam. And that one example that I gave with regards to NHS and the training being taken off of free pay, that's just one example of many. There's many examples in other industries that are exactly the same as this. We're suffering. We need more people. We're going to stop people here from doing that job so that we can hire people from abroad who can't do the job. We're going to pay them more, tax them higher. It's an absolute fucking scam. But anyway, yeah. But yeah, that's basically it.
Oh, okay. Yes, I do think it's a humiliation ritual.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But take care, guys. Like, great to see you
Alrighty.
again.
Have a
Happy
good
New
night.
Year, and take care, everybody in the chat. And yeah, maybe hopefully see you next week. And take care,
Bye.
Steve.
Bye.
Keep doing
Adios.
what you're doing. I don't know how you put up with her, but all the best.
Yes. Day by day, hour by hour, sometimes minute by minute.
Oh my gosh.
Take care, guys.
Bye. Good night.
Bye.
Alrighty, guys. So you can go put Monica to bed.
Yes.
All right. So before I go, I do want to show you guys. I feel like we didn't finish this part. I want to just like go over it for 5 seconds. So anyways, he basically says like he thought the students, parents, the teachers, the administration, the government, and the colleges wanted one thing when really they wanted something completely different. The students just wanted to have fun, make friends, whatever. The parents just wanted their kids to make them look good. The teachers just wanted to keep their jobs, so they would keep the wealthy parents happy so the wealthy parents didn't complain and get them fired. The administrators also just wanted to keep their job and get money, so their job was to keep the, again, wealthy parents happy, not the poor kids that were there on scholarships parents, because they didn't matter. It was always the wealthy parents that are paying for the school. And the government just wants obedience, right? People who don't ask questions, who do as they're told. And the colleges, they just want people who are gonna, give them money as well, right? Basically, I feel like that's what he said. I might be a little off on some of these things, but this is the gist of it. And once you realize it's not a merit-based society, the game is rigged against you, right? The wealthy kids and the wealthy families do not want the lower class families to ascend, except for like the very small percentage that could start like an innovative billion-trillion-dollar company. Like they want to allow a path for some innovators to come in that could end up making bajillions of dollars for the economy and whatever. So they allow that. But ultimately, they don't want you, if you're just going to like be like in an Ivy League school, they don't want you if you're just going to be like a professor, or if you're just going to be like a teacher, you're just going to be like have your own business, small business, or like have a, whatever, something small that doesn't make kabillions, whatever. They don't want that. They're trying to find the people that are traumatized and psycho enough to do big things, because then the reputation of the Ivy League schools will be really good. And when the reputation of the Ivy League schools is really good, then they can attract more people to give them money. But the reality is, it's a for-profit business. It's a for-profit business. You just got the elite kids who they're going to pass. I think you guys don't realize. They're the elite kids, the legacy kids, they always pass. They're not really competing against these smart, lower-class kids that rise up. Those kids are competing against each other. But the wealthy kids, their legacy, they know, the school knows they're from a wealthy family. Therefore, they're going to get generational wealth. And therefore, if they have a good experience, their kids and their grandkids and their great-grandkids will go to the same college. So they're going to pass them, because you're going to have generations of giving the school money if you pass the super wealthy kids, right? That's why they always pass. The end. It's everybody else that's competing for like a tiny little bit of a chance. So remember, the game is rigged against you. Oh, and I do want to show you guys this. Okay, so this is about like the number of new CEOs annually from 2000 to early 2014, and like the demographics because of DEI. Wait, hold on, I'm not showing it. Here it is. Because of the DEI and everything in America, there, if you look at the chart, the top is white women, right? So we have a lot of new CEOs that are white women. And then a little bit lower down, we have Latinos, right? Again, DEI changed the demographics of everything. And then a little bit lower than that, you have African Americans, right? And then the lowest are Asian Americans on the bottom. I don't see white men on this because it's not in vogue to give them a position of authority anymore. So they're not going to be the new CEOs because of DEI, right? So what does this do to how the world looks? This is the DEI, just so you know, is the reason for the whole dating and mating crisis, because now you see all these white women, they're not just CEOs, they're usually like higher ups in corporations. This is this can be transferred into like even smaller companies too, right? So what this is basically saying is that the most successful people going forward are going to be white women. then Latinos, then African Americans, and really low is the Asians. The one on the bottom is the Asians. And then white men are not even there, right? So this is the real reason for the dating crisis. So you have all these white women making lots of money now because he goes into who becomes a CEO, and it's usually people who are very aggressive. They say what they need to say. They don't follow the rules. They're innovative. They're whatever. And that is a very American white people, I guess, type trait. And the only ones who are there who can do it now because of DEI are the white women. So now the white women are the ones who are like calling the shots because they're the ones who are the most aggressive in the job market that can get hired. And then you have Latinos like lower. They're not as aggressive, but they're still kind of. And then you have African Americans who are kind of aggressive in the workforce. But Asians, even though they make the best grades, they have the most experience, they come with the most accolades, like they know the most, they are not CEOs because the personality type of do what you're told never rises in America, right? So if you're very like, do what you're told, you need to be told, and you're not going to challenge authority, you will never make it in corporate America to the top. Okay. So then what does that do? Okay. So then he's talking about, let's see what he goes into. Okay. Now he's talking about like dating by ethnicity and stuff like that, which I found really interesting. So you have on the chart, I don't know if you can see it, but I'll just read it. So the first side is like, I think I'll just let him say this part because it's crazy. All right.
Interested in Asian guys, okay? And you're a dating website, okay? So this is white woman, okay? Let's look at white woman.
Yes.
And how interested they are in other ethnicities. Mm-hmm. If you are white, okay, Caucasian, they're very interested. In fact, they're the most interested. If you're black, they're not as interested, okay? If you're Hispanic, they're not interested. But look at this. If you're Asian, they are least interested, okay? That's interesting. But look at this. If you are an Asian woman, okay, you're pretty interested in white guys. You're most interested in Asian guys, okay? And you're similarly interested in black and Hispanic guys. So it seems that in the dating market, one group that is most discriminated against are East Asian men, okay? Another group that's also discriminated against heavily are black women, okay? All right. Okay, so if you look at marriage patterns, there's also discrimination against East Asian men, okay? So 20% of East Asian women will marry white guys. Mm-hmm. Okay, so if you are an East Asian woman, you are attracted to white guys and you're attracted to East Asian guys primarily. But if you are an East Asian man, okay, all right, here, you're not that attractive to white women, okay? So 20% of East Asian women will marry a white person, but only 9% or 10% of Asian men will marry a white woman. So this leads to a disparity in the marriage market. And what this means is that for East Asian men under 25 years old, 75% are single, meaning they cannot find a date or a partner. Okay, so this leads to a very, very stark conclusion for East Asian men. The reality is that if you're an East Asian man in America, people don't find you that attractive. Okay, so they did a lot of studies about the dating market in America, and the radical conclusion that they have is this, okay? A white woman, okay, is more attracted to a white man than an Asian man. And how do we know this statistically? If a white man makes $62,000 a year, for the Asian man to be as attractive to her, the Asian man needs to make $200,000 a year. That's a huge.
Okay, so what he's saying here is that white women want to be with white guys, but they will accept a white guy, which is what they really want, who makes at least $67,000 a year. So they're okay with a white guy, which is what they want, if they make at least $67,000 a year, which is way less than everybody's been saying. You need to have 6 figures. No. They will accept you if you make 67,000. Or wait, is it 62 or 6? Let's say 67. I'm going to say 67. It might be 62, but I'm going to say 67,000 a year. So that means that's all you got to do. And white women will be the breadwinners, the primary breadwinners for you, because you are what they want as a white dude. But if you are not white, you better make way more money, because they are going outside of their type, their physical type, to be with you. So for Asian men, they have to pay the most to be with a white woman, which is $309,000 a year you got to make. That is like a crazy difference. So basically what he's trying to say here is that America and other countries will like encourage people to immigrate to their country, right? And what usually happens when you're an immigrant into countries is that unless you're married by the time you get here, like already, the current country will have a type that they find attractive. And of course, in America, it's going to be white men, slightly less Hispanic men, and slightly less Black men. These are the 3 types of America that we find attractive. Here, you're not going to be as considered attractive if you're Asian, if you're, I don't know, like what are the other things? Asians, and what else is there? Maybe Middle Eastern, Indian, like those are not attractive in America. So what happens here is like the local population, like the white guys, will be able to pick the pick of the litter from any of the race's hottest women, because they have the most power. So the white guys will have the most power to do that if they at least make $67,000, right? And then after that, the next top is Hispanic men and women, and then Black men and women, right? So whatever. So that's just like how it goes. And I feel like that's the whole reason that all the women online that are white women generally are mad that there's not enough men, because they're like, I just need you to make $67,000 and be a white dude. But the problem is when it goes into practice, when they get married, the fact that they do make more as a woman than that guy, even though like they want that guy, there's still like an income disparity. And then there's going to be like the whole like gender war thing comes up with like, I'm making more than you. I'm birthing the children. I'm not doing any housework. I'm not doing this. And the man's like, well, you know, the tradition is I don't do this, this, and this. And that's when we have these huge gender wars, when the reality, all of this was created by the DEI, not allowing white men to ascend in corporate America. And he mentioned this in a different part that like if you're a white dude and you have your own business that's not corporate America, and you're like a top earner without a degree, you're like the first one that they snatch up, right? So if you're like a plumber making 6 figures, or you know, you have like a store or a restaurant or something and you're making decent money, you're going to get snatched up immediately by white women, and all women, to be honest, in America, because this is America. There's a certain type of man that all the women want that is American looking, right? Like if you go to China, I'm sure like the hottest guy in China is going to look like a hot Chinese guy. So all the women, remember, women want status first and then money. Like literally they want status before money. Okay. And status for women is like, in America, is like, do you have an American guy? That's going to give you status. Then it's going to be, how much does he make? That's going to give you the second tier of status. And the third tier of status is like, how does he treat you? Can you Instagram it? Does he look, you know, well put together? Is he not embarrassing? Is he well spoken? All of these things are going to add to the woman's status and therefore change the view of the man. So anyways, he's trying to basically encourage people not to immigrate to anywhere else, because he is like, if you're the best of the best and you immigrate to another country, like let's say you're from China and you immigrate to America, you're going to be on the bottom of the dating pool, 75% chance you'll never get married. Your children, if you have any, if they are male, if they're men, they 75% chance they won't get married, and your daughters will just get snatched up by like the hottest white, Hispanic, or black dude that they can get, right? Very low chance that they're going to find someone of their own race as attractive, just because, you know, when you're in America, you watch American media, TV, the actors, whatever, and that's what you find attractive. What you see when you're like, especially young, teenage, whatever, 20s, whatever everybody else likes, you start to like as a woman, because women are status seeking creatures, and men are also like bare minimum to get the best woman that they want seeking creatures, right? That's just like what it, like everybody's motivation is different. Women, status. Men, hottest women they can get. This is what we want as a people. Anyway, so like basically, if you are from another country, do not come to another country where the people look different, because you will not do well. And he's basically saying what they do is countries like America and bigger countries will get like the best talented immigrants to come over. And if they're female and they're hot, they'll get snatched up and assimilated. And if they're men, they will die without reproducing. And they'll just steal their labor. And then they'll just be replaced with the next immigrant that comes in, hoping to, you know, not just make money, but also like be able to get married and have a family. And then if, you know, it just is not good for males of another culture, another look, another ethnicity to come in to immigrate. Now, if you're already married, it might be okay, but then you have to think about your children and what do they look like? And if they are male, they could have problems. And it's like, is that something you want to do to them? I don't know. It's just interesting. It's something to think about. He's very much against immigration. He thinks that you are better off if you are the top talent, instead of going to America or whatever is the big power in the world, instead of going there to try to assimilate and try to get stuff from there. You should stay where you are and try to make your country, your community, your whatever area better by using your intellect, knowledge, and stuff to start businesses locally to help grow and improve locally. So I do think that makes a lot of sense. And I do see that's like, it's a really big trap, especially I see a lot of like, you know, friends of friends that are like coming from India, getting these jobs, and they come here, they work so hard to get like these degrees so they can come here, but they want to get, you know, the quintessential beautiful white girl. And these women are not really attracted to them. So much so that you have to, as he was saying, you got to make like 300,000 plus if you want a woman who's not attracted to you to take you seriously, which is wild that there's a freaking dollar amount that goes with it. Wild. Like, just gonna be honest. Steven is my type. I'm here as a multi whatever backgrounded person. I grew up here. What I find attractive is probably going to be like white guys. And then I would probably say Hispanic guys under it, right? But like, that's because that's what I grew up watching on TV. That's literally what gives you, I feel like that's what people like. I remember, I grew up in like a completely Hispanic high school. So it's everybody's Hispanic. And you know, Hispanics come in all rainbow colors, right? So like they're freaking white, but they're not white enough, but they're white. So anyways, so we went to a field trip, Northern Florida, back when Northern Florida was like all white. Now it's mixed, but it used to be all white, all white. So we're there in a hotel with the school and other schools. And the white girls saw the boys. They were like all like baseball players and stuff, but they were Hispanic, but they didn't know that. And the girls liked them because, of course, they have abs and they're really good looking guys. The girls were like all about them. The white girls started coming up to them, being like, oh my God, oh my God. And then they spoke, and they had a little bit of like a Hispanic accent, even though they're technically white. And that was enough for the girls to do a complete 180 to go from, you're so cute, you're so hot, come hang out with me, to completely like, ill, disgusting, you're like some Hispanic, gross. Oh my gosh. Like it was that quick. It was that quick, the turnaround, because unfortunately, having an accent that is not allowed is lower status still. And women do not like lower accents. That's another thing. Like how you speak is your status. Now, in certain communities, different accents will be higher status, but in their community, any accent that's not a very white, proper type of accent is lower status. So they immediately went from finding them super hot, which objectively they were hot. Like if you just saw pictures of them, like you'd be like, this is like a 10, dude. But as soon as they opened their mouth, lowered the status, the women no longer wanted them. So the women became very nasty, very fast, like really rude, to be honest. But that just shows you like weird things that you don't think about matter. So don't immigrate to some place if you don't look like the people who are attractive in that place. Now, I will say there are some exceptions. Like personally, when I went to Asia myself, like everybody thought I was cute, even though I'm not Asian. But of course, I'm a woman, so that doesn't count. Yeah, because it's like if you are an attractive Asian woman and you come here, you're going to get 50 billion suitors for sure. But it's just the men. Yeah, it's the men. Yeah. And even when I was in Asia, there was some men who were over there, and they had a derogatory term for them. Basically, it was something like loser back home. That was the term that they would call men from other countries who came to Asia. And it was not like high status for the local girls to date them. So the girls that would date these guys would be the girls that couldn't get boyfriends locally. And lucky for like these guys, a lot of girls are single over there. It is better to look for courting overseas or country of origin. My friend is a surgeon in the Philippines and always invites me to. Well, I mean, okay, look, if you have money and like citizenship in a place that is that people would want to immigrate to, you're going to have an advantage, of course. But especially if you go for somebody who is of lower classes, like in the Philippines, they have obviously Filipinas that are very wealthy, come from wealthy families in the city. They're not going to be looking for some foreigner, right? But if you go and look at the Filipinas in like the low income areas, the poor neighborhoods, they're going to think a foreigner is like Prince Charming and be all up in that for sure. But the other problem is if you marry them and bring them over to the United States, they could do what a lot of these girls do, and they get pregnant and then they get a divorce and then they get alimony and child support and they get to live in America, which is what they really wanted. They didn't want you. So you can't just count on that all the time unless you go make your money and then move to the Philippines and you just live there. And then if she's with you while she's with you, she's with you. But, you know, it's hard. There's no good solutions for complicated, nuanced problems in this world. That's just how it goes now. But anyways, that is all I got for today. Thank you guys for hanging out. I know we are long-winded and annoying, and I appreciate your perseverance. And next week, I think I'm going to do one. I need to do something on like endometriosis. I promised our friend here online that we would do an endometriosis update for her. So I'm trying to work on that sometime next week. I had a horrible week last week, so I couldn't do it, or this week. I couldn't do anything. I might stream tomorrow of that if I can get it ready. And yeah. But anyways, so that is all I have for you today, guys. Thank you for hanging out, and have a beautiful night and rest of your evening. Bye now.
The old gods whisper with tongues of sin. They crawl through culture to pull you in. Don't be for sale, don't wear their grin. The old are rotten, don't let them win. Eyes and heads and mirrored glass. They promised youth, they cursed your past. You drank the lie with ruby lips, but every toe